friends, family members, grandmama in the back. Gather around, folks, because it is that time of the month. It is the monthly report. Yeah, baby, let's go. What's up? Yeah. All right, yeah, cool. Celebrations, parties all around. Get out your apple cider. Folks, it's gonna be a fun day. Yeah, we got things to talk about. Oh, we got things to chat about. The monthly report is out, and it's a bit of a doozy. August was not bad. A lot of stuff happened in August in Star Citizen. Core gameplay stuff, ship stuff, even community stuff. Wow. And we are going to go through it today and chat about all the things that happened. If you already caught the core gameplay video, then you know that I've maybe gone a little bit into some of the stuff. But today we're going to do the detail. You know how it is. We do this every month. Me and you. We're going to drive on through. We're going to look at all the things that have been updated. We're going to pull up old videos, old monthly reports, context, all kinds of stuff to see how things have been flowing through Star Citizen's development. And then we're going to make ridiculous, over-hopiumed speculation guesses on when these things might be coming to the game. Now, there's actually some pretty good short-term news in here in terms of things coming to the game, like literally 4.3.1 kind of stuff. And so it's not all pie in the sky sorts of things. A lot of it you're going to look at and be like, I'll believe it when I see it. But I think a lot of people are going to find something to enjoy in today's report. Before we get started though, hello my friends, my gardeners, my tomates. How y'all doing today? Having yourself a lovely week? A lovely September? It's like the 4th day of September, guys. And I'm already feeling like a pumpkin tomato. We actually have a spooky tomato emote with the ghost thing on. But I think we might need to make a turkey tomato at some point. Boo-mato? Boo-tomato? Ghost-mato? Boo-mato. Maverick, AAK, Vastin, good to see you guys. Lighting up Twitch real early there. I love the dancing though. You know I love the dancing. Hello. PK? I don't know. He hasn't called for me to be shot in a while yet, huh? Galadrum, hello. What's up, dude? Have any good trades lately? Gravity Noise, my man. Hanging out in No Man's Sky right now. Lurch Lord, good to see you, dude. Wandering Mage, thank you for the partnerversary celebration. Appreciate you, man. Arctic Wolf, AAK. Oh, I got things to say to you today, buddy. We gonna talk today. Hello, Sensei. Jorman Wrecker. Good to see you, Papa Gamer. Yui, welcome in. Waybreaker, good morning to you. Slayer, welcome in, buddy. Diz Troy, Captain's Razor. Glad to give you a Thursday. I forgot to say, it's a Thursday special. We don't stream on Thursdays, you know? It just doesn't happen. But here we are. Getting a stream on. What's up, Slayer? Villestein. Bonius himself. Mr. Ghost, Jock Cop, Trulin, Tyler Lee. Renlia, welcome in. Good to see you. This isn't a No Man's Scream. Unsubscribed. What are you gonna do, huh? Since we're on speculations, Tomato, when do you think we'll see the galaxy in our hands? I don't know. That might be a 2027 kind of ship. Oh, Crew. Hello, dude. Good to see you in chat. Yeah, man. We go back. Me and Crew. Hope you're having a lovely summer. It is monthly report time, Galadrum. Yes, it is. You're running low on hopium, need some. Happy to supply a little bit. But I'm also probably going to throw some water on the fire today, too. Trulin, what's up? Since you're on medical leave now, unexpected bonus stream is welcome distraction, and also there's medical details in it. Bam, bam, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. What's up? Medical leave and medical game leave. Way back, making me sound old. Having the best summer. Good to hear it, dude. Old in Star Citizen terms, yeah. At this point, you got senior citizens, Star Citizen wise. Star Senior Citizen. We were all senior citizens the whole time. They just blocked out the senior part and called it Star Citizen. I'm sorry, I'm explaining too much of the joke. Remember, kids, Thursday streams are pants optional. Thursday streams are here for a short time and not a long time. We'll be on next Thursday, but happy to be with you today. Toes. Close your CCU chain for your Apollo Medivac. Last IAE, most grateful for all the modules included. Yeah, the modules included are pretty cool. The Squadron newsletter also dropped publicly or just for subscribers. Might be worth looking at today. I wasn't really planning on streaming too long, to be honest. Oh yeah, this is, you can download it here, huh? Ooh. Ah, all right. We can take a look at this. Is it just this picture? Is this the newsletter? Is that all I need? That's actually not too much. Looks pretty cool though, the locations of Squadron. We'll get into that. Actually, maybe we do that before the monthly report. That's probably going to be easier because it'll be shorter. Nice little walkthrough. Let me see if I have any Squadron 42 music. That'd be perfect for this. Perfect. I also need to fix my air horn sound. If you guys will give me 1 second. I need to make it so that I can replay. I have this problem with my air horn where I hit it and it triggers, but then it stops and I have to wait for it to stop. Hitting the button again just cancels it. So I'm trying to make it so that when I hit it, it does it once, and I hit it again and it does it again, so I can just no. That restarts it. Continue, replay. Continue or replay. Toggle hold one shot. Oh, is that it? Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. Sorry. Just doing a little IT on the stream here. Okay, so we're gonna get to the monthly report. And then we will jump. Actually, we're gonna start here. Getting ahead of myself. We're gonna get to the monthly report after we look at Squadron 42 stuff. And I'm hoping you enjoy them both, because I'm actually pretty interested in seeing what they have to say about Squadron here. Let me see if we've got any Squadron music. Bagpipes? I should probably get a bagpipe soundbite. You know that? Who rocks? You rock. Oh, Alan. Thank you very much. Dude, getting us started before we even get started. All right, you gotta honor the man. Thank you, Alan, for dropping 5 memberships on YouTube and getting us started for Toes Gang. I don't know if I took this picture today. Just make sure I'm saving yesterday's Toes Gang. Thank you, Alan, for your support on the channel through YouTube. Always hitting us up. Been a blessing this summer, dude. Thank you very much. Where's the name? Gotta make sure I get all of the numbers in here. Thank you very much. Velasquez. In the year 4100. Nice, dude. Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate your 5 memberships. Appreciate your good company and your great chats. And hey, guys, if you just got a membership from him, say thanks. All right? You just got access to the newest exclusive. And it's a good exclusive. I'm going to take this opportunity to plug it. Because I'm very proud of my thumbnail, okay? You rock. You know that? It's a pretty solid thumbnail. You can't really see it that well. It's this one, and it's basically like a whole story, a whole video that looks at the game industry, and why certain games don't really make it through the industry. Okay, buddy, can you relax? Did somebody else do this? What happened? Oh, Wandering Mage dropped some memberships too. Now I am all right. Now we're getting distracted. We appreciate you just as much, though, Wandering Mage. Thank you very much. My A looked like a G. Thank you for the 5 memberships, my dude. Thanks for getting us closer to the goal. Thank you very much. And again, if you just got a membership, say thanks and go check out this video. I'm really proud of it. It's one of my first that kind of talks a little bit more about the industry at large. And basically it just talks about like the game development process, why it's so hard. And it looks at like successes like Halo 2 and Half-Life and Hollow Knight Silksong, which I kind of assumed was going to be a success. And then it looks like failures. Mass Effect, Anthem, I don't know, a couple others. And then it kind of takes all of that and it analyzes the possibilities surrounding Squadron 42. I loved it. So check it out if you just got a membership. Thank you so much for spreading out the love. Let's get into this video. Where is my Squadron 42 music? It's gotta be around here somewhere. Guys, I think I don't have any Squadron 42 music on this computer. Oh, here we go. Play that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we've got a Squadron 42 newsletter to go through. It's the lovely tunes of Squadron 42 in the background. With the lovely visuals of Squadron 42, we don't get to see too many visuals from Squadron. They're always very scared to show us Squadron stuff. So we are going to get to these visuals soon, kind of the locations of the game. I'm guessing this is like where, I think Odin is where like 60-70% of the game takes place. So this is literally showing us, that's a bit loud. This is literally showing us what to expect in terms of where we're going in the game. First, they introduce it. This white dwarf-centered system may seem outwardly cold, but its unique spectral anomalies and convenient hauling hubs make it well worth the visit, as long as you're not expecting a handshake and a cup of cocoa. Thank you for referencing cocoa, okay? That's the proper hot drink. We know that here in the garden. Discover the once vibrant Fortune's Cross Station, explore the treacherous tunnels of the coil, and feel the magnetic pull of the system's glorious auroras. Before you visit, be sure to download your very own map with all the information you'll need to keep safe and keep flying. Joke's on you, folks. I've got MapQuest. I don't need to download anything except for my directions. Yeah, I was talking about Mass Effect Andromeda. You know, the commonly referred to failure in the gaming industry, Mass Effect 2. Just couldn't make it out of the gate. All right. The introduction to this map. The Odin system is a planetary system in the UEE. It is made up of two... What? Chthonian? What the heck is Chthonian? Chthonic? Oh, it's just pronounced thonic. Thanic? Concerning, belonging to, or inhabiting the underworld. Who the f uses these words? Ah, the old Greeks. Yes, of course. Thanks, Mrs. Tomato. The terms Thonic and Thonian are derived from these ancient Greek words that you guys put letters next to other letters. And they're weird. It's fun to do that. She's got, you know, the whole history thing. Anyways, where was I? One of these planets is a gas giant, an unusual cosmic anomaly, and a white dwarf star. The anomaly was created when the first planet in the system was destroyed by its star, leaving behind a unique asteroid field beset by constant electrical storms. Corporations and research facilities that deal in dangerous materials conduct testing on Odin 2. First thing to say about this is what deep lore. Like, this is not a standard star system, and I love that. Because Santon is also not a standard star system. Pyro is not a standard star system. Nyx is not a standard star system. The only star system that we really know of so far in this game is like Terra. which is a star, some planets, some not habitable, some are habitable, but for the most part, like, I mean, I say normal star system. Okay, first of all, that's just a stupid thing to say, I guess, but I'm talking like Sol-like, what we're used to. And these all have something that really like sets them apart from the others, and I don't know how much they're going to be able to carry that throughout all the star systems. Obviously, this is a big part of why they're not doing 100 on release anymore. But I do wonder if they, like, at what point they'll start just like throwing generic star systems out there just to fill with for extra like exploration gameplay and expanding the space. Either way, this system is not planned in the first 5 of Star Citizen, but they're really going hard on the work for it for Squadron 42. So you can imagine then we're probably going to see this system fairly soon after Star Citizen 1.0 comes out. I say fairly soon as in next few years, not like the month after. Let's start from the most interior part of this space. I believe it's the coil. Here they say, if you're looking for Odin 1, you'll be looking a long time. All that remains of the system is, all that remains of the system's first planet is a cosmic phenomenon known as the coil, created when the system's star collapsed. I see the star right there, bunny. Now, we've seen a ton of the coil. I'm gonna give you guys a little look at how the coil has changed in appearance over the years. We're gonna start all the way back with, ooh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find. There's a video where they show us Fortune's Cross briefly. Don't know if it's here. No, it's not in this one. I'm not gonna try to find that video because it is very old. Okay, one more try. one more attempt. And it is not here. All right. In that case, we are just going to jump to the pre-alpha vertical slice, where we get to see the coil for the first time. In game, in like proper completed game. So this is their inside the coil here. So it's all gas clouds. Light doesn't really make it that far in.
Thank you very much.
And there are some crazy electrical storms, as they say. So here, they're coming into approach on an asteroid that is basically cracked in half, but still floating very, very close together. And it creates this pretty cool environment where you're kind of, I mean, it's fairly, the way that they play this is very on rails, kind of not cinematic, but you know, you kind of get the idea of what's going on in here. You come run into a salvager, you talk to them a bit.
That's great, Captain. But all we need to know is if you picked up any signs of a second starfarer.
So continuing on, you get out of this asteroid and you can just see that the whole space is just clouds, 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 clouds. Like, it's a very hard to get place and it's supposed to be very hard to navigate. But it has changed a lot in appearance throughout the years. So that was 2017. You jump forward to 2019, and there's actually a very nice look at it from a distance. I think it's right here in the beginning. So I believe this is from inside the coil again, but the next shot. So here it is from a distance. You get a better idea of kind of what it looks like. And you can see you see it's like a glowing ball of joy with some red anger out here, but overall it's like a giant hurricane in space, which is kind of what this looks like, but you can tell they made it look a lot more grim in this more finalized version. I think it's looking pretty good, dude. That looks pretty good. So jumping forward again. Here. believe. I don't know if we see the coil here at all.
It's probably one of the first times.
It's kind of near the coil. This is a location that we're going to go through on the map, though, so I'll keep that up here. Another time we see it, I think, is... Do we see it in the Held the Line trailer? Actually, don't think we do. So this part, this whole introduction that we know, as you'll see here, is actually taking place in Vega. There's 2 star systems. And we start out in Vega, but we eventually go to Odin, because I won't spoil that part of the game. I don't think we actually get any more real good distant visuals of the coil, but you get what it looks like. You see what it is. Let us continue on our map of Odin, or Squadron 42, whatever. Moving on from the coil, we have Odin 2. It's somewhere around here. I don't know what's going on with my computer and loading things, but it keeps doing this with everything. Just like doesn't load pictures. Maybe one of you knows that. Hold the line, it is shown. Alright. It's another way to go check it out. Shout out to whoever gifted out a sub over on Twitch. Thank you very much for that. Welcome to the sub club, Scavenger. Theorized to have existed within the system's green zone back when the star was alive, the uninhabitable surface only has a few research facilities. Odin 2's moon, Vili, houses several transfer hubs that make an adequate stop for haulers transporting hazardous materials from the planet. Wow. This sounds like an awful place to be doing deliveries. Honestly, the Odin system sounds pretty, dead. Here is a comms relay station known as Asiato Station, not the bagel. We have an entire video that details the interior of this. We actually watched it together on stream recently. It's a little reminder for those of you if you don't remember. It's good. Looks good. Looks real nice. The way they describe this actually gets me really excited for the game, this level and how you're supposed to take it on. I am working on a Squadron 42 video because of this. Because yeah, if the game plays how they try to make this level out to play, I think it's going to be a better game than people expect. But we will see. You can market a game however you want. You can talk about it however you want. But it's not until we actually get to play it to see. And I've gone on and on about that whole thing. I'll wait to the video to tell you all I got it. If you recall correctly, this level has to be like Metal Gear Solid sneaky sneak vibes. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. They give you the option of going through levels how you want to, from which direction you want to. It's very Half-Life coded. There's a whole video. You can go watch this huge fly-through of this entire station. Like, they were not secretive about this part. Well, they were a little secretive, but they were very much... They did this so that they could basically satiate the community who wanted some Squadron 42 news at the time. But I do believe this briefing room is going to be something we see popping up again in the next few months. Moving on, though, or actually literally just moving and talking about this, the Asiato Station is surrounded by a vast network of comm arrays. This Asiato Station acts as the primary nexus to manage Odin's communications network and keeps the system's inhabitants connected. So communication in this game isn't a guarantee. It's not light speed. Maybe it is, but light speed is relatively slow at these distances. So there's a whole back end of lore and fiction that goes into explaining how people communicate in this game, because you can't communicate through a jump point. obviously you can't communicate across vast distances between star systems. So they haven't gotten into how that's going to affect gameplay. A lot of people like myself are hoping that it comes to data running, but they've been very, very quiet about that. Fortune's Cross. This station looks... I didn't even realize we were seeing Fortune's Cross in the I Held the Line trailer. Because Fortune's Cross was something that they haven't talked about too much when it comes to this game, but it's popped up here and there in little bits, little references. And it's always just been like a representation on some UI. It's never really been a full show of what the station actually looks like until now. So I think this might be, hold on, this is in one of the pictures here. Yeah, so this is part of Fortune's Cross. You can tell right here, same kind of background. So we can start to connect the dots as to what we're actually seeing is a relatively populated space station. See, this is the central part, right? This is that central opening where the cross meets. Can you please? Right here. And then here, this scene, you're flying through the space station.
Introducing new space station.
And you can tell it's heavily populated. You can see all the advertisements.
Scale, all brought together and designed to be as tangible as possible. We thought
so this
about
is the
their
central
function,
part.
their age, and tried to ensure there's a progression in artistic style with each station as you progress through the game.
Cool. I like seeing locations from different angles. It reads here, though its glory days are past, Fortune's Cross remains a lifeline for adventure-worn travelers and their ships. Straight off the Kessel Highway, the station has been battered by years of economic decline, yet still serves as a commercial staple of the system and popular transport hub for workers entering and leaving Odin. And why is that? Because the jump point is not far away from it. Maybe. It doesn't actually say where the jump point is. But I am assuming it's out here somewhere if Fortune's Cross is a popular stop-off. The jump point reads, despite its checkered reputation, Odin acts as an oasis of the UEE in this corner of the universe, directly connected to the Kellogg system, which enjoys UEE protection under the Fair Chance Act and the two unclaimed systems of Nyx and Tanga. So we've got our common connection there to the current game, the Nyx jump point. Odin 1A. This is the moon of the planet that got ripped up into the coil. Also known as Gaini, this former moon has the rare distinction of orbiting Odin's sun and not a planet, though it still drifts near the ruins of its late parent Odin 1. Gaini once played home to many fracking and gas refinement plants until tectonic instability forced their relocation. So they don't mention the terraforming machines here, but they do show it here in one of the pictures. You can barely see this with chat there. This upper picture here on the right is one of their terraforming stations. He mentions it during their... right here.
Ultimately, this is the final phase of gameplay iteration before we fully transition
so this
to
is Gaini.
optimization and stability on the road to release.
Agent Trejo, this is Colton. Come back. Always trips me out to see terraforming setups like this. Webb tried explaining how atmosphere processors work. Really shows how far we've come. Where the hell is she?
With the transition of Squadron to polish phase, we've had the opportunity to find additional...
You guys can check what Gaini used to look like. You can see what Gaini used to look like actually in that older video we just looked at, the Squadron one. So this is the old version of Gaini, I believe. And you can see just how much they've changed the visuals of it. Might be wrong about this though. Yeah, Gaini nav point alpha. Yeah, so this is how much that planet has changed from what we saw in 2017 to, I believe, 2023. I'll give you a chance to watch this. And I'm going to step away for just a minute. Don't worry, I'm coming back to you, chat. Just trying to get through all this. So not only was quantum travel not as cool, but Gainey looked quite a bit different. Had like literal small tiny asteroids floating in the what's it called? The like low orbit of the planet. Like these asteroids are so close to the actual. If you watch them fly down to the surface of this moon, you can actually see just how close all of this wreckage and stuff that's floating in the asteroid field. Like, look at how close this is to the surface. So there's got to be really low gravity there, right? Anyways, that's just a little nitpick. Clearly they got rid of that for the final model. But you can see just how much stuff changes over time. I see your message tree. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff here that's been referenced before in Squadron 42's history. We've gone through most of the locations now here. I think there's a couple more. We got Odin 3, which reads, though easily overlooked, Odin 3 offers insight into the history of the system, making it home to several ongoing scientific endeavors. I don't think we've really seen much of Odin 3 throughout the years. You know, some of this stuff might be around Odin 3, and we just don't get the visuals to tell us. There's a lot of environments they've shown here. I think this is also Gainey, by the way. So you can see the terraforming machines out in the planet. So this whole boat scene that happens,
so we can focus on individual areas to deliver the best experience.
Get out of sight. The cutlass is gonna spot you.
yeah, so this is
This allows us to bring
all
all
on that
disciplines
Gainey moon.
together with a unified vision of enhancing the gameplay by seamlessly blending it with polished visuals, final cinematic performances, and our ever-improving technology.
a lot of infrastructure down there. And then if we go to the more recent gameplay showcase, they dropped a trailer at the end of that, if you remember. And in the trailer, we get a really brief shot of Gainey too.
Maybe a small crew.
So a lot of this stuff is probably like these locations we're seeing. This is likely one of the space stations they're talking about here.
You're clear to launch.
So that's a shot of the coil, right? Right. You can tell the coil is in the background right there. You can tell this is Asiato with all the comm relays posted up around it. There's Asiato again. We don't know what this is, but it looks really interesting. It looks like almost a pirate flotilla of just wreckage. This looks like pieces of possibly like a warship, a Bengal maybe or something. So here looks like it's probably Fortune's Cross space station. Yeah, that's the cargo loading. This is likely in the coil. This is one of the other space stations. I think that was what they mentioned in the coil here. Archon Station right here, I believe, is this bad boy. And this is all Gainey that we're seeing here. Coil. Probably more Gainey. And then this is the real trickster, is when the Jeans show up. That is what are they getting at there? Thinking they're probably trying to set some breadcrumbs for Squadron 42 episode 2, to be honest. So that's a lot of Odin 3, but that was a lot of Gainey, but we haven't seen much Odin 3. The last planet here is Odin 4, believe it or not. It does go in order. And it reads, no one sets foot on this gas giant. That makes sense. But its volatile yet beautiful atmosphere makes it well worth a flyby. Travelers can refuel at one of the many facilities orbiting the planet while taking in the breathtaking beauty of Odin 4's hypnotizing auroras. Interesting. I'm sure we'll have some fun gameplay to take place there. But that, my friends, is probably the major locations in Squadron 42, at least as far as Odin is concerned. I think this is part of marketing starting to pick up. We will see just how deep this gets before CitizenCon, but I do think with a release like this is pretty significant. With a release like this, it's looking more and more likely that they might be trying to get marketing up and going faster. This looks like, you know, full-on casual marketing kind of release. Probably something we're going to see put out in a more public way in the future. But for now, it's just part of the Q3 newsletter, which says 2026, interestingly enough. Now I want all of these pictures. I want all of these pictures in real, like, am I going to be able to rip these out? Because this is, no, it's just all one picture. Damn. Please give. Either way, I hope you got some information on Squadron 42 here. I'm thinking this is going to be a pretty cool game for anybody who likes cinematic space games. We will definitely be covering a lot more of this throughout the next few months and the next year. But on to the monthly report, though. Squadron 42 before GTA 6 or after? I'm thinking after. Excited for it, though. Odin will take some work to get it up to speed with the current SC timeline and introduce all the 1.0 stuff they need for the PU. Yes, it will. Yeah. What a chill day playing Company of Heroes, watching Tomato show us a hopeful space future. A very hopeful space future. Filled with hopium. Enjoy. Grab your hose. Suck it down. I mean hose is in like a... You get what I mean. Mr. Popolki! Welcome in, friend. Thank you so much for the Prime sub. I appreciate you. I hope you're having a lovely, lovely day. Tell you what, guys. I am going to go get a drink. Before we get going completely here, I'm going to give you a little look at the... how about some Squadron 42 gameplay? This is to prime you guys for... This is to prime you for the monthly report. I promise I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Yeah, everybody hydrate. Hydrate the tomat. Exactly. The email had some extra info. Dev continues tracking work towards our intended release of 2026. We'll reveal more when we get closer to the game's launch and hope you'll pardon our heads down approach as we work to achieve that milestone. And in the meantime, we invite you to check out what the SC team is up to at this year's SitCon Direct. Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, I will be right back, folks. Popolki, I'm happy to deliver the news for you, buddy. Taking care of myself, I'm hydrating, all that jazz. Be right back. Y'all enjoy this. All right, y'all. Let us talk about Star Citizen now. We've had enough Squadron for the day, have we not? I got my drink. I got some tea. It's in this cup that says Yosemite or something. And there's like a mountain on it. I don't know. This is way too intense for a monthly report read through. Can we cool it down a bit? We're still in Squadron 42 mode over here. Let's get something a little nicer going on. Squadron 42 opening gameplay. Yeah, this is gonna be... God, I'm so excited for this game. I am so excited for this game. It's funny. I am not really a big MMO person. I've talked about this a lot. I don't play MMOs. Star Citizen is my first. I am a first-person cinematic space game player. I love RPGs. I'll dip into fantasy every once in a while. But like, I grew up on Halo. That's why they're all over my wall. Mass Effect, Knights of the Old Republic, BioShock, all that kind of stuff. That's really what brought me into gaming. So Squadron 42 is much more up my alley than Star Citizen. It's just that Star Citizen's been around to play this whole time. I'm very excited for this. If you're too obsessed with this Squadron 42 video, you watched it fully a few times. Me and Mrs. Tomato, I kid you not, watched the Squadron 42 gameplay video probably 7 to 8+ times in the first 2 months after it came out. We would literally go and like get in bed or sit on the couch or like hang out in the chairs. Maybe got a joint between us. And one of us would be like, you want to throw up the Squadron gameplay? It's so bad, dude. We're very excited for it. What can I say? By the way, welcome in, Citizen Her. Can we get a shout out for the Her? Thanks for popping by. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good week. Never enough Squadron, If CIG doesn't make a 6th platoon campaign, a la Halo ODST, it will be a colossal missed opportunity. Dude, could you imagine if Star Citizen if CIG took a page out of Bungie's advertising campaign for Halo 3? Which was like one of the best advertisements for any... That was one of the best campaigns ever. I think it was Halo 3. I might be thinking of ODST. What was the... No, not Deliver Hope. Deliver Hope was a great trailer. But that's not... I'm thinking of the one... What was the Halo trailer with the stop motion kind of the figurines? Halo figurine trailer. I feel like this was like one of the greatest trailers anybody's ever... The Believe trailer. You imagine if they like went in this direction and took the very deep... it doesn't have the pull that Halo does to do that, actually. This only works because people are already so emotionally invested in Halo, right? You can't do it with your first game. You gotta release a couple. But yeah, this, oh gosh. Sorry, I always end up going back to Halo. What do you know? Halo Wars, also great trailers. Honestly, all of them, great trailers. Just, why the heck else would I be so obsessed with it? All right, folks. I think I've made you wait long enough. I'm sorry. Some of you have been here for what? Almost an hour now, waiting for the monthly report to get going. Let's talk about Star Citizen's development in August. It's good stuff. Ships, medical gameplay, item recovery, all kinds of things. We're going to be grabbing the context, making references, looking at old videos. You know how we do. Nice and long, low and slow. Let's get into it. AI content continued to progress with several ongoing initiatives in August, including refactoring one of the NPC archetypes important to landing zone infrastructure. Hey! Wonder if that's the refueler. When complete, it will provide additional characters to the various landing zones around the verse. Additional character, but also characters. It's kind of both, right? AI content are currently working closely with core gameplay to ensure there are contingencies in case the system fails while live. Yeah, see, what that tells me... You guys ready for a copium take on that? I wasn't really planning on whipping out the big bags this early on. But if AI content is working with core gameplay, it doesn't necessarily mean that that work has to do with the landing zone infrastructure they're talking about here, but I genuinely do think that core gameplay is working on things like damage and engineering and that kind of stuff. What if AI content is working on archetypes of NPCs that have to actually do with servicing ships? And they need to make sure there are contingencies if the AI in charge of servicing ships fails while live. I don't know. That might be getting far too ahead of where we are in terms of this gameplay. Because I think we're still years away from NPCs coming out and like repairing their ship or refueling it or anything like that. We can tell it's still planned because they have been including refueling ports at the FPS level. They're downward facing and accessible by foot on every new ship that's coming out. So the idea of refueling from the ground with an actual hose is still part of the game plan. And you can actually go back to the Held the Line trailer in Squadron 42 and see that they're delivering that in Squadron, which means there's a pretty good chance they're aiming to deliver that in Star Citizen as well. You can see that right here. You see this guy? Oop, there he is. He's got the hose in his hand. He's dragging it. We know they worked on rope tech, so they've got the ability to do this kind of animation. And like I said, all these refueling ports are popping up on all the ships. This is some tinfoil hat, hopium kind of talk, guys. But I do think at some point this will happen in Star Citizen. Not saying this is what they're talking about here, but it would be interesting. Development continued on a new set of voice packs to refine what was learned from the dynamic conversations added throughout the year. The team also looked into developing new behavior types and re-examined existing behaviors to look for improvements. The new voice talking, that's great. Rope tech. Hey, don't even, okay? CIG is not the only person. The Last of Us 2 literally put out a marketing video about their rope tech because it looked freaking sick, and it's amazing what you can do with a slack material in these games. The physics is crazy. I won't pull that up, but I'm pretty sure it was Last of Us 2. It might have been the first one. I'm pretty sure it was the second one. Yeah, the conversations has been nice. The background communication and stuff that hits in the PU definitely helps to make it feel more alive. Would be nice to get a backpack to siphon fuel out of a crashed ship. My man, PC 101, dude. That is such a... Can we shout out that guy? Also, can we get a shout out for Tree? I'm sorry, we got a lot of shout outs to give right now. It's popping in here. That would be pretty cool. Like a salvage backpack. Okay. Continuing on, finally, they looked into the upcoming environments to make sure they're properly set up for AI populations. Yas. Good. We love AI populations. Honestly, it's feels a bit dead still. I'm gonna turn on the fan. Give me a second. It is hot. Hot in here. All right, continuing on to AI features. The AI features team began the month by improving NPC weapon overheating, a feature initially developed for Squadron 42. Alongside this, a new firing validator was also introduced for charged weapons. The logic for trigger control was reworked, and various issues were fixed. So just like NPC shoot better. A pre-firing stage was also added for NPCs using weapons, as previously they would only use charged weapons while in cover. Wimps. A fix was also submitted to tackle an issue preventing NPCs from shooting after their first trigger pull. Double wimps, dude. Various behavioral combat improvements were made, including the implementation and bug fixing of reactions to weak spot destruction and distortion damage. Weak spot destruction is a term I really love to see. Love to hear it. Communication channel improvements were then implemented to allow for the better coordination of NPC groups with leaders. The devs also added improvements to automatically calculate when NPC is alone or not to better filter... Oh, sorry, I read that. That was a very confusing reading of that. Let's try that again. The devs also added improvements to automatically calculate when an NPC is alone or not to better filter what they can say and when. I promise I went to years of English school. English school? Maybe I didn't. Yeah, teaching them to use Volt weapons correctly. Teaching them to use the special weapons, right? The heat mechanics are newer to the game in the way they're being used now. So they're just updating the AI to make use of those mechanics. It's not, they don't call this feature work when they add it to the game. Which is funny because on the roadmap for Star Citizen, one of the release view cards that I believe would generally go under feature work is weapon overheating. It's here somewhere. It clearly causes them a lot of work for Star Citizen and Squadron 42, and it is a big change for how weapons work in the game. Not only is it still marked as tentative here on Star Citizen 1.0, but this is the first year that this stuff has really mattered, and that is technically a feature addition. So we are still getting some features throughout the year. They're just not the big, impactful ones we want. Use my words. I'd rather use noises. It's easier. Just how are you? You know? All right. I think I haven't gone over this point. A bug was fixed for NPCs executing audio triggers when dead. That's creepy. This is not yet available in PU builds, but will be integrated soon. Let's move on to AI tech. We're going to get to the exciting part soon, I promise. The AI tech team progressed with cross-navigation volume pathfinding. Previously, this used a heuristic approach to predict which navigation volumes would be used for pathfinding, followed by multiple pathfinding steps, with one for each navigation volume. However, now they will use a single pathfinder step through all navigation volumes to guarantee the shortest path. Navigation links will be temporarily disabled after failed use to prevent NPCs from repeatedly trying to use them, which would result in them getting stuck. Navigation links are... I love to do this. It's kind of like a game for me. I hope you don't mind. We're jumping back to March of 2023 monthly report. Is my random guess. Navigation links were such a hot topic for a couple of years that I feel like you can kind of just search for them. No, maybe not. Nah, I missed it. Couldn't get it. All right, one more try. We're going back to November of 2022. The November-December reports never have interesting stuff in them, but we're looking anyways. There it is. What did I... Dude, sometimes it actually happens. They were working so hard on navigation links for a while, and here they are. The team continued to iterate on more complex navigation links to extend the capabilities of NPCs and where they're able to move to. including implementing adapters for airlocks and elevators. So the idea of navigation links is like ladders, elevators, airlocks, doors, anything that would connect one navigation plane to another, like a building, an outdoor space, a spaceship, stuff like that. They say here, based on navigation link connections, an NPC will now know how to request an elevator to go to a specific floor. New event notifications were also added, sent by the elevator when it arrives at a floor so that the actor will know to get on or off. And now, here we see, navigation links will be temporarily disabled after failed use to prevent NPCs from repeatedly trying to use them. So, like, they had them in, and NPCs were using them, but clearly NPCs are kind of dumb unless you spit the facts into their brain and allow them to think a little bit for themselves. So this is a nice fix. Is that the Poets I see? Is that the name I see there? What's up? Good to see you, the Poets, man. How you doing? Welcome in, buddy. Thank you for the happy celebration. Can we get a shout out for the man? From an immersion point of view, it'd be cool to see them get on the tram. Yeah, get on the tram, using elevators. I cannot wait for the day that we see NPCs actually walking onto spaceships from like airlocks on space stations and then watching the space station leave that station and quantum jump somewhere. That whole thing would be insane to just see the NPCs get on the ship, see the ship fly away knowing the NPCs are on board, and then see them jump off to somewhere else because the game is saying that place needs those NPCs on that ship there. All of that is just wild to me. That's the kind of stuff that I love watching play out in like a 4X game or a real-time strategy game, but never seen in a game like that. At least never acknowledged it, seeing it in a game. Mr. Bleeding Vox, thank you for the super chat over there. I appreciate you. Much love to you. I hope you're having a wonderful stream. I don't know how much RSD 250 is, but bless you for it. Thanks so much for your support. Think you might see that in Squadron. We'll see. They've shown a couple little sneaks of that possibly happening, and they're always fun to see. I could show you guys the last time we saw anything that has to do with passenger transport, which is really where this all potentially goes. This was a demo from CitizenCon 2021 where they were showing off AI behaviors that they were working on. Hey-o. Thank you for the bits, Maverick. 6 and 9 bits. Look at you. You rock. You know that? Bleeding Vox, thanks for the additional 250, dude. I don't know how much it is, but I appreciate you. So you can see here that they've got the NPC getting on the ship, sitting down, waiting to get dropped off somewhere. It's basically a box delivery mission with legs. But they have been very quiet about this for the last 4 years. So I don't know what's going on with it, but this idea of NPCs needing to know how to pass through navigation links is actually a pretty important part of that. Continuing on, general improvements to ship AI behaviors were made, including when the AI is within a defend area, but the target falls outside of it. In this case, the AI will actively find a position in range to target them. Okay? Can't bait them. You rock. You know that? Bruh, Mr. Vox. Popping off with the RSD 250 super chats. Honestly, that sounds like a car. RSD 250. Thank you so much for your support, man. The team also polished the punish idle behavior. Instead of statically circling the target, the AI will perform more maneuvers, particularly when targeted. In addition, bug fixes were done for NPCs flying in formations and following at a distance, while detailed investigations were made into the current state of AI ship combat. Sorry, that was the end of a sentence. Definitely left that with a little bit of a cliffhanger. Following this, the team improved AI ship combat tactic commitments for the strafer and jouster behaviors. So they're just making ship AI more nuanced. Brother, with the 250, the RSD 250s, if those were cars, I would be a blessed man right now. Continuing on, For turrets, a vision adapter specialized for unmanned turrets was added, which allows vision perception to be enabled for security systems. Security is such a Ooh, security gets me a little hot and bothered when they say that. What? Safety for players? What? Thank you, Bleeding Vox. For the usable builder, several improvements were made. For example, the helper geocode was changed to fix collision issues. The team also made the usable group coordinator not reset when none was selected as the end condition. Just gonna idly pass on over that one. Usable data was added for links via the UGC editor. Additional fixes were made to some debug GUI issues, and the string input was changed to a drop-down list of tags. Finally, the devs implemented a way to load layouts in the usable builder. Okay, sure, if you say so. Dedicated work began on the voxel-based 3D Pathfinder, starting with preliminary refactoring for the Path Follower that will support both the simple and the new Pathfinder. Ooh, the new Pathfinder. Hey man, thank you for the 1000 RSD. Again, I don't know. I should look up nah, I don't want to look that up. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the support, man. Absolutely bombing on YouTube chat. Much love to you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I assume you are, with that kind of excitement in chat. Appreciate. Moving on, the tech side of things to AI tech. Bug fixing was done for StarScript to ensure developers can use the tool as fruitfully as possible. Tomatoes, fruits. The team also optimized the subsumption initialization of AI actors and made further improvements to scripted control for the flow graph, such as adding functionality to mark global function availability. I don't know what any of that means. But we know about subsumption, don't we? Subsumption takes us back. RSD 500 Bleeding Vox. He's hitting all of the, it's like a literal rainbow of chat here. It's actually quite beautiful. Thank you. You rock. RSD 100 coming from Bleeding Vox. Much love to you, brother. I don't know what it means, but I appreciate your support. You're killing it out here. YouTube, give thanks. Give thanks to Bleeding Vox. He's out here making YouTube the star of the show today. Thank you, Destroy. Appreciate you. Well, yeah. Then Bleeding Vox absolutely killing it out here. In fact, that's a... I don't know why I didn't already. That's a Toast Gang. Toast Gang moment, dude. You rock. You know that? Mr. Bleeding Vox, guys. I'm sorry, honestly, this might feel like a consequence for you, because I'm just not good at handwriting, but I try my hardest with these, okay? I think I need to make the name bigger, actually, for the stream. You can barely even see that from over there. I'm just gonna put RX here, because this man likes like an RX water well. Thanks for your support, dude. Whoop. Whoop, whoop. Okay. What's up, Jay? Demotic. AI Game Intelligence Development Team. Now, these guys are basically programming the AI tools for the AI systems people to use to make stuff for us. So this is very R&D kind of work. Still interesting to hear about, though. In August, the game's intelligence development team continued to work on the density profiler, developing new IMGUI control. They also improved the visuals of the mission system V2 UI prototype and outlined the properties design. In pursuit of the team's goals of unifying the overall scripting tool language, they also began working on the design of the new entity scripting UX. Game intelligence development also continued to fix some small bugs and worked on features requested and suggested by the game's designers to improve StarScript. StarScript is Starscript is kind of, it's just a language that they use to define how missions and AI move forward. It's very closely based on subsumption. So these are internal looking tools. A lot of what these monthly reports are made up of, a lot of what CIG has been doing overall this whole time, and especially in the last 5 or so years, has been making it so that the game engine on the front end, the one that the game developers are using and working with every day to make the game, they're making sure that that is interesting and easy and intuitive to use tools. One of the biggest things, costs. Holy crap, also gifting out 5 memberships, Bleeding Vox. Damn, brother. What was that sound? Damn, brother. I will throw on the 5 memberships back here for you on Toes Gang as well, dude. I appreciate you, buddy. Popping off on YouTube.
Thank you very much.
Basically, one of the big losses you get from game development is having to train developers on your game engine. This is why it's easier to have a custom game engine as a smaller company, because you don't have to train as many people. As you lose people in development and in work, obviously you lose some of the knowledge that helps to train those individuals, so it gets harder and harder.
Thank you very much.
Most important thing to do then is to make your game engine easier to learn. Better tools, more clear, more intuitive, more better documentation that teaches those tools without somebody needing to actually hold your hand to do it. And so a lot of what we've seen over the last few years, especially with teams like the AI game development, game intelligence development team, is making these things easier for the company to use. I'm not going to say it's definitively why we're seeing more stuff happen in the game, but it definitely adds to it. Over time, it compounds and it makes things happen faster. It makes more stuff happen, and it gives the designers more ability to actually focus on their creativity rather than learning the game engine. So this stuff is really good, but it's not the kind of thing that you see the improvements of right away. Animation! Throughout August, Animation worked on improvements to the Copion as well as a new creature. They also created assets for the upcoming med gel dispenser,
You know that?
and made a pass on death reactions to ensure they appear as affected. Now, this is important. Again, Bleeding Vox, thank you. I like how everyone's liking these super chats. Like, here, I concur. Thank you. Much love to you for the support, dude. This is an important mention. Creating assets for the upcoming med gel dispenser. We will see mentions of med gel and medical stuff in, I think, 3 different sections in this monthly report. That means something's imminent. That means something's getting worked on across the company. Surprised that we didn't see this earlier, honestly, with the whole getting prepared for the Apollo, but maybe they felt they could do all of this work in the last 2 months. I certainly hope they do. Hey man, thank you for the little sticker on YouTube as well. What do they mean by death reactions? Just the animations that play when NPCs get shot and killed. Also interesting, a new creature is nice. It's more new interesting stuff to place throughout the game. Facial animation worked alongside mocap and narrative to capture additional content for releases coming soon and into early next year. They also worked through previously captured dialogue that will soon be available in-game, including for brand new mission givers and additional lines for Amelia Boyd. Who's Amelia Boyd? More mocap, more animation, more mission givers. This is all falling in line with what we expect at this point. They are doing a pretty good job of starting to get more narrative content into the game. I think, say what you will about how useless it might be right now, I think over time as it all stacks up, it's going to make for a much more interesting Star Citizen. Like, if in 2 years everything we do has NPCs talking to us to give us rewards, and those rewards actually matter because they've spent this time working on loots and liveries and stuff, it's going to get better and better. Or it's going to be really nice by then. Frontier Fighters is Amelia Boyd? Okay, I see. So they're working on some more A story stuff, I guess. It feels like the B story they said was the B story is actually the A story. But I don't know. In addition, they continue to support the narrative team with SSN newsflash reports that will be visible in-game during timed events. Timed events. Timed events. Because events are timed. Art. Last month, the character art team progressed with armor for a new gang. You'll love to hear it. And supported requests for subscriber flare items and CitizenCon Direct. I wonder what art they're doing for CitizenCon Direct. So I was asked about a possible goodies bag at CitizenCon this year. This is probably what it is. I can't say it's a goodies bag, but this will probably be something that they hand out to people. They also continue to work on variants for gameplay rewards and store items. Good to hear. The concept art team started the exploration phase for a new heavy armor. It's probably a 4.4 kind of thing, maybe. No, it's probably later than 4.4. Probably a next year thing if they're just concepting it. Let's look at what gangs these might be. Because they had a lot of gangs on the factions page last year.
Of the Mercenary Guild.
Hey man, thank you so much for the super chat again.
Security.
Have a great day. I'm going to watch live later on the job. Love listening to you all working 07s. Well, thank you, Bleeding Vox, for blessing the whole damn stream with your support today. Appreciate you, buddy. I hope you have a lovely day at work. Happy to provide some entertainment. So let's look at the Criminal Guild here.
On the flip side,
we'll see we've got the Headhunters. They're already in the game, obviously. We've got Vaughn. He's in the game. We know about him. We've got the Bit Zeros. They give us a couple of missions here and there. But generally, the only faction here that has a real representation in the game is Headhunters. So if character art is working on some stuff here, we could see something for the Horizon gang. We could see something for Drop Kings, Otoni Syndicate, Dead Saints, Darkside Rovers, maybe Bit Zeros. And there's also the possibility that they're working on some pyro gangs, like the Overlords or the people who praise the sun. Can't remember. Fire Rats. That would be nice to see some more activity in pyro. Okay, we're skipping art on the ships. We're going to get to that. You know it. Back at the latter part of the monthly report, as we always do. Just one thing I'd like to draw attention to before we move on is that the ship's team was working on the RSI Apollo, and they also supported gameplay teams with medical gameplay adjustments. That's the second mention of medical gameplay that we've seen in this monthly report. Like I said, though, we'll get back to ships. If you're not seeing it here and you're watching this afterward on Space Tomato 2, it's another video for that one. All right, in community, I mostly covered the ship showdown. Talked about some of their bar citizens that have been going on, mentioning the watch parties at CitizenCon. And I will take this opportunity to remind you all, we are hosting our own watch party for CitizenCon. If you find yourself in Northern California, or any California, really. Oops, this is the streamathon. We do have a streamathon happening tomorrow, by the way. Come through for that. That's going to be fun. This is for this one. We're hosting a CitizenCon watch party in San Francisco. Anybody is free to come, but the guest list is limited. So if you do want to come, make sure to message Mrs. Tomato and save yourself a spot. It is free entry, but we are looking to the community to help us host this. Obviously, it costs us a lot to do this out of our own pocket. So we are asking any and all, if you would like to help us out. You can use this R code. Might I forget what these are called? R code? QR code. There it is. You can use this QR code, or you can use the command !fund to help us out. You could also just come to the streamathon tomorrow. We're throwing that literally just to help to fund this event. Hope to see you there. All right. Core gameplay. This is the best part. You know this is the best part. This is what we all really come here for. The monthly report core gameplay section is literally, this is the description of the actual features you'll be using as a player. From cargo hauling to inventory management to salvage, mining, ship combat scanning, whatever it might be. Generally, it's going to come up in core gameplay if it's going on. Let's get started. Throughout August, the core gameplay teams were heavily involved in the Alpha 4.3 release, though they also made significant progress across many large gameplay systems. The team's focus continued on freight elevators, with further fixes to the issues that put them into an unusable state, as well as improvements to the debug tooling. Gotta say, they really need to get that fixed for good. Not just like because the event was not great. They need to make sure freight elevators are good going forward with this game. Just how it needs to be. They're continuing to work into a large range of other widely reported issues, such as unreliable medical beacons and physics exploits. AAK, my man. Medical beacons mentioned. You feeling okay? You feeling good? You happy about that? Improvements to medical ship functionality are in progress. There's our third mention, including the addition of MedGel, which will be required to allow for respawning. This will further differentiate the utility of the various medical vehicles in the game. These improvements also prompted some general improvements to the respawn flow. There is a lot to unpack about this. There's a lot to say about what medical could be and where it could go. Obviously, they are restricting it more, which I think is a good thing. I think there needs to be some consequence to dying besides just getting sent back to whatever thing is on the spot, willy-nilly. This will help to stop people from being able to just constantly respawn in a place with no focus whatsoever on preparation. This will make certain ships and vehicles have a little bit more importance, depending on how they balance it. Maybe higher tier beds use less medical gel for the stuff they do. Maybe it uses more. I don't think they're going to restrict respawning. I think at this point, it's pretty much a guarantee that CIG is backing off on making respawning a more limited thing. And they're going to try and load in the focus on resources to restrict it. We'll see how that goes. There's not enough information on this. We're probably going to get that info in about 2 weeks' time, I would guess. At which point I won't be here. We will be out of town. So I will need to figure out how I can cover that kind of change. But I think that whatever change is going to happen with medical, it's going to be done with the understanding that there needs to be medical gameplay for medical people. It needs to be deep enough for there to be fun doing it. But it also needs to be lightweight enough on the easy side, on the easy end of just healing and stuff like that, that it doesn't bother players that much. I think resource restriction is the biggest way to do that. Make it so that tier 3 beds can only hold enough resources for 1 or 2 respawns. You know? You're not telling them they can't respawn there, but most of the time they probably won't. Either way, I'll have a lot more to say on medical gameplay in the next couple of weeks. We'll definitely touch back on it several times before CitizenCon. But that's what we have on it right now in terms of information. A good change, a big change, definitely the kind of thing we would generally hear about inside Star Citizens, and now we have to wait for monthly reports to see it, but I'm glad we're hearing about it, and I'm glad something is being done with the release of the Apollo. Hopefully it's more wide-reaching than this. Wartman, thank you for the Prime sub on Twitch. I appreciate you, buddy. Folks, it is September, so on Twitch, I don't actually think this affects Prime subs, but if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free sub every month. You don't have to use it here, but you can use it on any streamer you like. Tier 3 should definitely not have respawning. Dude, I agree, but I just don't think they're going to do that. I think they killed that possibility last year. There's supposed to be a separation between regeneration and respawn. Good luck to CIG explaining that. They can't even get people to understand the difference between quanta and quantum. it's it's a losing battle. Returning to your cave, AAK. Well, thank you for blessing us with your presence. You disagree? You think priority number one has to be giving a serious reason we need medics we need medics around? I think that should be the main thing. I just don't think that's what CIG is going to do. CIG has a lot more people to answer to who are just healing and respawning casually than they do people who are looking for serious medical gameplay, and they've proven that they're gonna... A lot of times they're going to go with what creates the least friction for the most amount of people. I mean, they definitely are still making a game that has consequence and choice. It has difficult decisions to make. But the closer we get to some of these decisions being made, the more it becomes clear that they are definitely pulling back on restrictions in this game. Because the game doesn't do it is the reason it's not understood. You might be right there. They haven't really proven to us that they can teach too much through the game. I feel like the tutorial for Star Citizen is kind of lacking still.
You rock.
Hey, Bleeding Vox returned with another 250 RSD. Thank you, my man, for the support. Any news about the Carrick and its pods? Nothing in this report, unfortunately. Nothing about Carrick going on lately. Good to see you, Overshoot. Quanta and Quantum sound super similar, definitely on CIG there. Yeah, but like... Quanta was never named, like it was never named that, you know? It's like misnaming the Gladius and the Gladiator. They both sound super similar, but the Gladius was never called the Gladiator. It just existed. It's not exactly the same. But like, I don't know. I don't think it's that they introduced the system as Quantum. They've always called it Quantum, except for a couple of devs here and there have said Quanta. And for some reason, people chose to choose Quanta over Quantum. It's not important. That's such a... Forget it. Just get me back into the triggered mode. It's not even important anymore. Let's move on. The devs are working to close out the functionality required to support a new creature's unique behaviors and attack moves. That is the second time we've heard about a new creature coming in. I believe we saw one here. Yeah, new creature and animations. So they're definitely gearing up to get a new creature into the game soon. The engineering screen was then updated to show the rate of heat change for components and fix various bugs. Heat change for components is going to be important because components will break down over time, and eventually it's going to be something that you have to... It's part of engineering. That's why it's on the engineering screen. If you slow down in your ship in atmosphere, your thrusters will have to turn on. If your maneuvering thrusters have to turn on to keep your ship in the air, they're gonna heat up more. If they heat up too much for too long, they will start to take damage. If they take damage at some point, you will have to repair them. If you repair them, that's another money and time sink. So the whole point here is to get you to think more about how you're flying in atmosphere. And it's just like a knock-on effects flowchart of things that starts with aerodynamics, which we'll talk about a little further down here, but ultimately ends with, what do you want to spend your time on? Do you want to spend your time repairing your ship more? Or do you want to just take better care of it? And that falls over to real life. It's exactly how we handle our cars too. For item recovery, this is a big one. The team added the ability to disable components for ships that have been claimed. Additionally, items will now display a timer until they become bricked, after they've been claimed by the original owner. This is also displayed to the player as part of a notification when an item is bricked and a player attempts to use it. We knew this was coming. Oh boy, did we know this was coming. In the original announcement for item recovery, we got Tier 0, which enraged many people, but ultimately introduced this idea that you can lose and keep items, and they need to be able to be reclaimed at some point. So item recovery tier 1, the second step of it, is another step towards the final vision. The whole point of item recovery is to allow players to get items back without duplicating them unnecessarily in the economy. For that to happen, first you need an ownership system that declares what item belongs to people. Second, you need a way for those items to be duplicated so that somebody can get their item back if it's been lost or stolen. Third, you need a way to make sure that duplication doesn't break the economy. And fourth, you need to work it into gameplay. So the first step was tier 0. And basically they said, item recovery is going to keep all of your inventory items on your body. Or sorry, it's going to keep all of your items on your body for you so you get them back when you die. This was so that basically, honestly, I think this was put in because they wanted the game to be more playable quickly, and they wanted to make sure that people weren't losing their stuff as much to dead glitches and things like that. There's no easy way to get it back. The second step is registering things to people. Now, instead of things just automatically staying on your body, they need to be registered so that the game actually knows who they belong to. The idea there then being that once it is registered, you can brick it if somebody else tries to get it. They say here, once an item is looted, it remains usable until the original owner reclaims it or marks it as stolen, at which point a dead man's switch is activated, meaning it will cease to function after a period of time. Good to remember here that a bricked item can still be sold for credits, or for credits basically, so for money. So there's still value in getting that stuff, but if somebody marks it as stolen, there won't be. Now that's temporary, as was tier 0. When we move on to tier 2, you will be able to restore these bricked items. They say here that once an item is looted, you will have the option to sell it, dismantle it for crafting resources, or restore it to make it your own. This system creates a viable path for piracy, allowing you to claim another player's belongings if you take the necessary steps to legitimize ownership. Now, there is not zero talk about unbricking. That's what I just talked about. Be patient. Come on, we're going to get to that. The whole point of this is, well, so you can unbrick items, but it's also, the really important part here is, it could cost you the cost of crafting materials and credits. That is how they get around the idea of this ruining the economy. Even if you're going to restore that thing, you would still need to have something that pays into it in order to make it worth it. That thus somebody can't just like constantly claim something was stolen and then restore that old thing while getting the replacement item over and over again. They still have to pay into it. The last point here, if an item has a cosmetic applied, restoring it will remove the cosmetic in the process. This also falls in line with something they said recently, which is that skins will exist separately from items. So you'll be able to move skins around on items, probably in the blueprint system. This builds crafting into the whole process. Now, they could have waited until they got to this point and done item recovery later on, probably next year sometime, late next year. But I do think that doing the tier 0 approach and allowing people to play a little bit more stably right now was helpful to the game. I think that allowing us to test out this tier 1 approach early is probably going to be helpful. I'm not sure it's going to be great for gameplay, but at least it does bring back PvP looting, and it allows for people to both benefit from that, but also it allows for people to get their stuff back. It's going to be another kind of painful in-between, but I think it's better for them to do it in this iterative format to let us see the different things happening at different points in that journey rather than wait until all at once and then do it and like drop something in and maybe they didn't get good bug testing on this first step or this second step. It's just a matter of like us as a community understanding that we're not at the final version, so looking ahead to see what might be coming next. Any chance of item recovery roadmap changing? Was really hoping the community pushback would be strong enough to have them change course like they are with the flight model. What would you want them to change course on, Jesse, in that regard? I actually don't really know where else they would go in terms of getting things back to the player. What would you want them to do? I actually don't know. I don't even remember really from the player backlash that many alternatives sort of given to the overall idea of item recovery. I thought people just had a problem with like the first version. Still doesn't fix the sell cost of salvaged items since they can still be duped. Hopefully they come up with a solution soon. The sell cost of salvaged items. What do you mean fix the sell cost of salvaged items? Like, you believe that salvaged items should be lower in cost, and so it allows for other things, it allows those things to still replace the original item with less value? Coming from Eve, I don't know, feels kind of weird. How does it work in Eve? Like, if you were to like lose something in Eve, is it just, it's gone forever? You can't, there's no way to really get it back that easily? A lot of global chat wants item tier 0 to stay indefinitely, even though 1.0, of course, that is anecdotal evidence I provide, but that's every argument I've heard over the past few weeks. Oh, so it is, they want item recovery to be just completely wiped out. Or to sit at a very basic level. The sell price is insanely low. I see. I mean, they can hike it back up. I wouldn't really put too much emphasis on what things cost right now. I think they cost something that they're getting back into a regular sort of idea of what the game would be, but I still think that their numbers are probably pretty far off from an actual working economy. You lose it in Eve, it's gone for good. You buy items back from the player market. Does Eve have crafting gameplay? I guess it must. It has manufacturing. Yeah, I don't know about you lose it and it's gone. I think there should be some way to get it back, whether it's through rebuy, insurance. Like, I think an insurance program makes a lot of sense for a game because it's a money sink. It places more value on items and it gives people a reason to want to actually get them back. But it still allows for there to be some kind of a player-generated items. They also have sold a lot of stuff in this game for real money, and you can't just lose that stuff and not get it back, so they do need a way for people to get back the stuff they've bought with real money that doesn't break the game. I see. So the low cost of selling stuff, salvaged-wise, is going to be rough for this tier 2 for sure. I would say by the time crafting starts to matter, the commodities and the things, the resources that go into an item probably will matter more and cost more. So I'm thinking the cost price of these things to sell back, if you got them, will matter or will make a bigger difference once we get to this point where they're talking about the potential cost of crafting items and credits being involved in these transactions. You know, if you want to try and sell a component, let's say, to the store, and that store is not offering you much money, there's a real good chance that a player would offer you more money because they actually know what the real value of that thing is. You think it should be as simple as if you craft something and lose it, it's gone. If you craft something and insure it, you can get it back. If you pay real money for it, it comes with insurance. If you craft it and you lose it, it's gone. I believe that's the way it's going. If you craft something and insure it, you can get it back, yeah. If you pay real money for it, it comes with insurance. Yeah, that's the system. They say it right here. Where is it? Pledge items are all auto-registered and will never lose their registration status. They can always be claimed back even if they were not manually registered. That's basically them saying, if you paid for it with real money, it will always have the ability to be restored. Otherwise, if you craft something and lose it, it's gone. They're just, the only thing that they're saying here is you can insure things that you've crafted. Current approach is too much pay to win. The skins being permanent are okay. Items have no insurance, so it wasn't expected to keep them permanently outside of resets. Items have no insurance, so it wasn't expected to keep them. The skins being permanent are okay. Items have no insurance, so it wasn't expected to keep them permanently out. We're not keeping them outside of resets. That's the whole point of the step 1 and step 2. The whole point here is to make sure that if you lose something, am I not communicating this correctly? Am I getting confused? I feel like people aren't understanding. This is a system that still allows you to permanently lose things. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what people are saying. Either way, the next version of item recovery is being worked on, and what they're saying here is basically tier 1 is somewhere. I wouldn't say this is particularly close, but this is the most significant update we've gotten on this so far. The last other few times they've updated this on monthly reports, they literally just said item recovery is being worked on. Like, we could go back to the July monthly report. And no, is this not it? This is it. I know this is it. Where is it? Here we go. Right here. This is the only sentence they gave us in this monthly report. Progress on item recovery tier 1 continued, including various setup and debug tool tasks. Huge progress update. So, like, they were pretty cagey about it before. The fact that they're dropping this whole paragraph describing what is arguably the most important parts of the tier 1 step in item recovery, I think they're making good progress on it. Maybe it's something we see in the EPTU this year. I wouldn't say this is going to make it to live this year, but there's a possibility. Okay, there's a chance. We'll just keep updating every month as we get more updates. For crafting, the team implemented an offline version of the blueprint service, which is used as a stand-in to support the player-bound blueprint library until the actual service starts development. So, okay. That's a tier 0 of crafting we're hearing, which, you know, probably means that they're doing it so that it gets out sooner. I think it's similar to how they're delivering engineering, but this does tell us that whatever crafting we do have will be a stand-in still. So, like, when we see that arrive, folks, remember that. Just think about that. They also finished the first playable prototype of crafting in a multiplayer environment. So we're still a ways out. First playable prototype in a multiplayer environment means they haven't done debugging. They haven't gotten this into a server meshed environment. They haven't gotten this into the economy of any sort. Like, crafting is still a ways away. And that makes it clear. Insured items should not return out of thin air. That is what they're saying. You restore it with the potential cost of crafting materials and credits. I do believe that's going to be the case for, what's it called? Permanent items, pledge items. Maybe it'll just be time, but I think that they're going to have resources involved there too. Is that only items you loot from other players? I guess it is saying once an item is looted. We'll have to see then. Maybe it'll just be a time thing. But I don't know. That doesn't... I would feel like there is still something you have to pay for. You're paying for it with the initial money you have to sink out of the insurance. Man, tell that to my health insurance providers. Come on now. You really think they're doing better at insurance in Stanton and 2955 than they are in America? No, probably actually they are. Let's be honest, they probably are. Ah, the pain. All right. For control surfaces, improvements to the aerodynamic simulation were implemented, which should address jittering observed at low frame rates. Support for G-Limiter was added to the new atmospheric flight mode, and NPCs now fly using control surfaces when in atmosphere. Internally, the team integrated the necessary work from Squadron 42 to conduct an internal playtest with various changes. These in turn prompted additional tuning improvements and bug fixes. So, we saw a leak of... speaking of leaks, by the way, Tree had mentioned a Squadron 42 leak earlier. That's what he had messaged me about. We saw a leak of control surfaces over the summer that like had some people thinking it was a little weird. I didn't really pay much attention to that, but can say it was probably before all this stuff happened. So there's still plenty of work going into control surfaces, but for those who don't know really what it is all about, earlier I talked about the idea that your maneuvering thrusters would have to kick in if you slowed down too much and weren't going fast enough in atmosphere. This is how that is addressed. This basically turns every ship into an aerodynamic profile, and then it judges the amount of speed that each ship needs to fly through whatever atmosphere you're in. Walla's atmosphere obviously really light, so not as much air resistance, not as much help from aerodynamics. Hurston's atmosphere is super thick, so like you can fly through it and you'll be able to glide. That calculation goes into understanding when your thrusters will have to kick on to keep you aloft, which then tells you how much heat your ship generates, which then the damage, so on and so forth. So if you got ships with VTOL engines, control surfaces are going to be kind of a blessing for you. They're going to point out the benefits of your ship, and they're going to make you feel a little bit better for how it flies. If you don't have VTOLs, you'll have to pay more attention to where you're taking your jobs and your trips. If you're flying in a Caterpillar or Reclaimer, you might want to do more gameplay in space than in atmosphere. If you're flying in an Intrepid, a Carrack, a Raft, a Mole, a Hercules, a lot of different ships with VTOL engines, you're going to be better off. I think this is a very, very cool part of the game. I'm super excited for it. I'm betting this is going to be something that is fairly divisive when it comes in. But I'm hoping that CIG sticks to their guns here, because I think if there's anything that a game that has put 12 years into building over 150 ships and making them all super detailed and putting a bunch of time into them and charging people hundreds of dollars, then the thing that they should do with them is make them all super specialized. Make them all actually have real benefits that you can point out to other people and be like, I made this decision because they put the time into this ship. Making them fly differently in atmosphere is a big way to do that, because like you don't actually have to fly in atmosphere to play this game. At least, you know, if you're making a space game, you should probably make that the case. But we'll see. Sure, you have to fly to a city every once in a while. The Reclaimer does have VTOL, but I don't think, like, the Reclaimer has VTOL. I just still think that's not going to be quite enough to really fly in atmosphere. Like, it's I think the VTOL is just enough to come on and off of the surface, but I don't think it's necessarily there to be like, oh yeah, you can just hang out in atmosphere all the time. So maybe, yeah, Reclaimer is probably not the best example there. Let's say Orion. Am I a vet? I am not. My mother is, but I am not. Many people think I am a vet because I have a tattoo on my arm that looks like a military tattoo, but it's actually a Halo tattoo. And there's more there's more to it here. It's got Halo guy in it. It's just that when I wear short sleeve shirts, it'll sit like this, and so people will see it and they'll be like, you military. Even worse too, because I use USAA as my bank, because like we were military family for a bit. So I hand them USAA, and then they like see the tattoo. They're like, thank you for your service. And I'm like, my service was sitting on the couch for 5 hours a day from the ages of 12 to 17, stomping on noobs and teabagging in the dark depths of Halo 2. I didn't really think about how that would come off when I first got the tattoo. It was my first tattoo, and didn't realize that till it was on my skin, huh? But yeah, I'm not a vet. I did design stuff a little bit, some small amounts of stuff that may or may not have gone into military use, but did not do the military using. Thank you for your service, Mr. Halo. I held the line. I'm a vet in patience. Lord. IFCS saw further support work from Maelstrom. Destroyed parts will now reduce thrust effectiveness, which also addresses a common exploit where non-critical ship parts were destroyed to improve acceleration. Good move, guys. Way to break the game. This also helps design in better defining when a ship is considered inoperable, even when not fully destroyed. The word inoperable is like just bliss. You guys remember soft death? Remember how like we've gotten to this point where there's soft death in the ship? At some point that's getting replaced, and it is the Maelstrom system that replaces it. Maelstrom is basically, you guys mostly know this if you're here, because you're probably about as obsessed with all this stuff as I am. Maelstrom is the physics destruction simulation system in the game. That makes it sound much more complicated than it is. Actually, no, it's pretty complicated, but that makes it sound more hard to understand than it is. Basically, it's just Battlefield Bad Company 2 and Star Citizen. And it allows for them to create environments, ships, armor, weapons, people that are destructible in a more modular form. They basically are modeling everything in the game as a cantilevered beam. For those who went through any sort of engineering program in university, probably hate that term, but it allows them to measure the strength, the stress, the strain, the shear force, all of the different things that can determine whether or not an item breaks based on a force. If it gets shot, if it gets blown up, if it gets hit with something else with mass. This will make it so that when ships get shot at, they're not just going to explode at some point. They're going to get shot at, and the damage is going to transfer into the armor or into the components, the power supply, anything like that, or into the thrusters. So what they're saying here is that thruster effectiveness can now be hindered by destroyed or damaged parts. If you go back to the whole control surfaces thing with the hovering and the maneuvering thrusters, this basically means if you get damaged in a ship and you try to fly in atmosphere and your thrusters are damaged, you're going to have even more trouble than before. So focusing again on decisions, preparation, taking care of yourself and your ship, all that jazz. This just goes into making our ship a home, something that we know all the ins and outs of and little bits about. That's why I think having 50 ships in this game isn't as beneficial as having maybe 5 that you know really, really well. I don't like soft death as it is right now. I think it's too hard to like accidentally hard death a ship. It's also like it's a very in-between kind of thing. Not everything in the game makes sense when a ship is soft death. GTD, thank you so much for the super chat, dude. You said, I like the route they are starting to take by not letting ships full death easy so there is recovery and engineer gameplay. Yeah. This leads to medical rescues. It leads to repair gameplay, refueling gameplay. Obviously, this is really heavily involved in engineering and determining whether your components are still working. And the best part about this is like all of this kind of stuff means that we don't have to go back to a place to repair our ships. Anything that happens to your ship, almost anything, we'll say, the small things, you will be able to go out and fix on the field, which is a really nice luxury. I'm gonna show you real quick just how complicated this is because I feel like I threw water on that. Looking at what they were talking about with this back in the day, first I'll give you a look at like the ridiculous over-engineered example they gave, which I don't think is what's actually going to happen in the game. Just buildings exploding. I think this might make it too hard for the persistence part of the game, but this is how they advertised the functionality. It's good to remember that CIG likes to advertise functionality, not direct one-to-one features. It's why when we saw that Planet Tech demo back in 2016, it took them 9 years to get us the Sandworm. It's like, these are all things to show off things, not necessarily to communicate to us what things are going to be. But if you look at the way that they model this all and then map the different ships and stuff, Look at this. This is what a Gladius looks like
or
through
implode,
this system.
explode. A weapon will cease to fire, and so on. To make things break apart, we create what we call breakable clusters. A breakable cluster is a set of physical geometry, the visual geometry, and the entities on top that can break off. Between breakable clusters, we create abstract cantilever beams to be able to model stress and strain. I'll go into more detail in that in a bit. Breakable clusters are hierarchical. They mirror the hierarchy of all attached entities involved. They also embed the hierarchy of all animated joints. And they also embed the hierarchy of all physical geometries. They essentially represent a ground truth of the entire hierarchy necessary to perform all our goals for Maelstrom. This image is showing a breakable cluster graph of the Gladius.
So these things are made up by a lot of parts. I feel like he was looking for some claps there. And I honestly, I'm interested in seeing just how much this gets basified, made more rudimentary. It's a lot. There's a lot to handle. And like I said, I don't think that's why they're gonna avoid applying this to buildings and larger structures. We'll see. Gonna take a lot of time to get this working. Yep. Cockpit dashboards will now support the ability to physically animate and vibrate based on various factors, adding another level of fidelity and realism. Examples of triggers include spaceships shooting their weapons or maneuvering at high angles of attack. This is really just for MFD kind of stuff and the cockpit experience. For quantum travel, the team worked on various bug fix and polish tasks, such as NPCs not being able to perform solo jumps. Quantum interdictions saw further improvements to address the reliability of the system, especially in situations where new quantum interdiction fields appear or disappear after the initial jump has been initiated. Interdicted ships will also now have markers on them to make them more obvious to players who are performing the interdiction. It's going to help with piracy, but this is also going to help a lot with bounty hunting. And it's the kind of thing that they do need to have in place before they update that gameplay, I think. Also something that it sounds like got broken by server meshing. So they've been talking about this a couple times here on the monthly reports. Turret weapons are now prevented from firing when aimed at the host vehicle. This is great. This will reduce, it sounds like such a, yeah, that's good kind of thing. This will reduce the need for complex turret angle maps, which have caused turrets to aim up and down erratically as players rotate around. For radar and scanning, the team worked on various improvements and polish tasks, such as improved UI information about targets and better positioning of the scan information for very large targets. Transport also made good progress towards feature parity with the legacy transit system. This included bringing it at parity with the current behaviors for instanced hangars, scripting support for design, and also making necessary preparations for dynamic server meshing. Ooh. They said it. They said the words. They said it. Part of this initiative involves moving away from interpolated movement to utilize the physics system, which saw a first pass implementation. We won't get deep into dynamic server meshing, but it is something that they need for instancing to work in the way that they want it to work. It is something they need probably to save a lot of money on server costs right now with server meshing going on. And it's something that's going to probably help with optimization of the game a lot more even than server meshing did, but no idea where that is in terms of progress. I think Benoit is going to be coming on in the next few weeks to Star Citizen Live to talk about this. But we've only got a month or so, like 5 weeks until CitizenCon, and I imagine they're not going to do it within 2 weeks of CitizenCon, so I'm wondering when that's going to happen. They better not just cancel it and say all that at CitizenCon. I want more now. Actually, I don't really mind. We're going to be out of town for 10 days, so I think it's probably close to being tested. but I don't know where it is in the grand scheme of things in terms of being released to the live servers. But yeah, it's important for them. It is very important for them. And Benoit was very confident on it last year, so we'll see what he has to say about it this year. Definitely safe to always add 2 years plus. Well, luckily that we haven't gotten any sort of information on dynamic server meshing. I think that's the most interesting part. It's like they've just chosen not to really talk too much about it. Transport. Back to normal names in the chat. Hey, yeah, I don't know how that happened. I don't know why it was putting the @ symbol next to everybody's names, but that's peaceful. Good to have regular names again. Thank y'all. It's been good chat today so far. Waybreak, ignore the bait. Transport also made good progress towards feature parity with the legacy transit system. This included bringing it at parity with the current behaviors for instanced hangars, scripting support for design, and also making necessary preparations for dynamic server meshing. Wait, I already read this. Sorry. The inventory rework is progressing well too, with the team implementing proximity looting, which will allow players to loot from multiple nearby inventory containers simultaneously. The new UI also added filters and search implemented. Search, baby! That's the best thing. It's so funny. It's so freaking funny. The inventory system is just so bad. I cannot wait for something that's properly made for a game. No in-person CitizenCon, that is correct. The @ symbol next to names on YouTube is a test that YouTube is doing. They're permanently changing names to that. Gross! Why are they doing that? Did they say anything about the whole B concept? We will get to that. Finally. Yeah, finally. Honestly, the search isn't even the biggest thing either. The filters are great, but having the loadouts listed here is so key. I think this is actually a big part of item recovery being better, because one of the things they mentioned in item recovery is... Where is it? Where is it? Here we go. We are developing a quality of life feature to allow you to re-equip your previous full loadout with one auto-equip button at this location. I think that's something that will be built into suit lockers as well. And obviously, this is the first time we've gotten real loadout, like, displays in our inventory, so I think that's a nice sign of feature parity coming up. We're also seeing plenty of clutter here with them showing things like the tiers of crafting quality that these items are. We see the full layout of what's equipped to your body. We see the timers for like the, what they call, the either crafting, I imagine, or bricking the items, whatever it might be. But ultimately, a big improvement to the overall inventory situation is undergoing work, being undergone, something like that. I didn't think that they would be working too hard on this quickly. I thought they would start working on this maybe early next year. So I'm glad to see that there's progress on it. I don't think it's something we'll see this year, but progress is good. A new inventory is very much appreciated. And I do wonder if this is going to show up in Squadron 42 at all. I really don't think it will, but I do kind of wonder. Good evening, Les Strike. Yeah, I don't think this will be as cluttered in normal use. I'm guessing we can, like, filter some of this stuff out, too. Like, you want some stuff to not show up if it's not important to you. Hopefully it's something we will see along with the new social tools. Oh, brother. Don't get me. That's too nice. Every time you see that symbol before your username, you briefly think someone tagged you, but it's your own comment. The comment is coming from inside your computer. Finally, an upcoming event was given additional support to improve existing mission archetypes and better support mission availability scaling. New events coming up, guys. How angry does that make you? Some people really do not like events being made. I think the Resource Rush event was one of the best things that has happened to this game outside of the fact that it barely worked for some of the time. Besides the instability of it, I think the event itself, the design and ideas behind it, was probably some of the best content delivery they've done for this game. That includes the fact that there were rewards. Not necessarily the way they did the rewards, but the fact there were some was pretty good. That being said, the Hunt the Polaris event did not go as well, and the Supply or Die event was kind of rough due to the launch of 4.0. So, like, I'm hoping their next event, whatever it might be, just launches with, just works how it's supposed to, you know? That would be great for Star Citizen. Let's move on to the economy. What economy? Everybody starts typing. Last month, the economy team progressed with the new iteration of the economy based on data they recently gathered. They're currently looking into changes to buy and sell prices of FPS weapons, armor, and consumables. They're also updating profit margins for salvage vehicles, including components, and the effort versus reward algorithm. We were just talking about salvage stuff. I'm assuming they mean profit margins for components that you get, maybe? But maybe not. It's good that they're working on pricing. They didn't really get around to pricing things realistically until this year, I would say, maybe kind of last year. So the fact that they're just actively cause and affecting the economy to figure out how much things should cost is good over the long term. This is being done as part of an ongoing initiative to ensure crafting is profitable, revitalize the salvage of vehicle components, and prevent exploits. Literally, you were talking about that in the chat. Salvage components, salvage items. They are trying to revitalize that, so maybe you'll see those prices get better. Mission design. The mission team worked hard towards the release of Alpha 4.3, including the new ASD Onyx facilities. They also continued their initiative to improve the mission generation system to help ease the current pain points that affect both the mission team and players. I'm guessing that had to do with the mission separation and spreading out. They said this work is ongoing, but is very exciting already. It's an award-winning statement. The devs also continued their work to bring existing missions back to older locations, which will expand the pool of available locations for players and bring back various interesting encounters. How about also getting the old missions at those old locations working? At this point, I don't think we're going to ever see that Kovalix Gundo shipping hub mission again. I think they're going to just put a new investigation mission in there, and they'll probably re-record everything for it. It's probably that mission's just done, I think. Ghost Hollow, as a location, as a point of interest, I would love to see mercenary missions, bounty missions, and maybe an investigation or two there too. Like, I think they need to start taking all of the locations, like they're saying here, and putting the missions that they've been developing there. Give us the mercenary contract missions in different places in the Yellow Asteroid Belt. Give us cargo hauling missions that take us to more of these derelict outposts out there. Do more with the stuff that you have. I like to read that, but I am more excited to see how it actually happens in practice. Hopefully in the next update. It's been almost a year since you played. Is it a good time to come back? I don't know. It's a hard question to answer, man. Why did you stop playing would be my answer, I guess. Answering your question with a question. Narrative team. With the release of ASD's Onyx facilities, the narrative team turned their focus to polishing the next round of content that players will discover there. The team also wrote and captured several new mission characters that will be making their debut later this year as they continue to focus on improving storytelling across Star Citizen. Several new mission characters later this year. That means I would say several is more than 3. Unless they're being very generous with their terminology. But dipping a little bit into the hopium, I'm gonna guess that means at least 4 new mission characters in the next 3 months of content drops, which could be pointing to a decent amount of content. That's all I'll say. It's not saying anything for sure, but it sounds like they're working on stuff for the latter end of this year. This month's performance capture session also saw the return of an already released character to pick up some additional lines. That might have been the prosperity girl. Whoever they mentioned back in the AI section. What was her name? Amelia Boyd, yeah. So they're probably talking about her there. While not yet captured, Narrative began writing new scripts for NPCs to help flesh out the lore of specific areas in the game. Hell yeah, hell yeah. The hope is that they will continue to expand the collection of conversations that players can overhear across the verse. I would love to start seeing signs of the actual cities we're in. Hear people talk about the crappy stuff or the good stuff that happens in the particular city you're in. Like, start to lightly inundate us with the feeling of living there. Are people complaining? Is it miserable? Is it happy? Are there tourists constantly walking through, so the conversations have to do more with like amenities and stuff? Is it a worker city, so you're hearing stuff about rights and insurance? Or is this a place that's all about partying and doing stuff? Are we hearing about exercise regimens and parties coming up? Like, that makes these locations so much more fun, in my opinion. They've already got some of the world building visually, but we definitely need that audio. The team also continued to work on developing a new hostile faction that will making its debut in a later patch, establishing its unique voice and supporting the branding and character art teams. Very well could be one of the gangs that was being talked about with the other teams earlier this stream. Last month, the team also worked with design on updating the text of a few older contracts to align with improved gameplay flows, as well as tutorial missions that will help players understand a new gameplay mechanic being introduced in a future patch. Man, Narrative's got some good stuff going on in here, dude. So, updating text on a few older contracts is good to hear. Not sure if those are contracts we lost, or if they're contracts that are still in the game and just from the olden days. This might be them doing exactly what I said I don't think they're going to do earlier. They might be still working on getting those older contracts back into the game, rather than just replacing them. The second part of this sentence, a tutorial mission that will help players understand a new gameplay mechanic, could be all kinds of things. Funniest bit is that we still don't have a mission like that for mining, but we won't get into that here. This could be crafting. This could be base building. It could be actual refining. I don't think they would be doing missions for refining. Tutorial missions are probably being done for something that is mostly in the game, or at least about to be in the game, that needs tutorialism. Most obvious one here, I would say, would be engineering. This is the gameplay mechanic we know is closest to being tested for the game. It's also something that really needs to be taught to players. And it's likely something that while you can sort of get a handle on it while you're in your single seat ship, they're gonna want to do some kind of a tutorial mission that has you on a multi-crew ship handling engineering. What would be hard to do there, though, is that would have to be an NPC flown ship, wouldn't it? So how do they figure that? Maybe they will introduce us to engineering at an outpost or a ground location, and that's how you learn to move power around. Maybe it's not even about engineering. I don't know. Just my guess. You think it could be about hacking? Could be hacking. Could be hacking. But who knows? Still wild, they said engineering would come with 4.0. It is ridiculous that we haven't gotten it when it was expected in 4.0. But I will say this. The version of engineering they were going to ship in 4.0 was only going to be functioning in about 10 ships, I believe. And I'm betting the version of it that we were going to get was also still a basic version of what we'll be seeing. Like, a lot of the work that they've been doing on engineering now probably would have been done on the version that we were playing too. Not saying that that's any reason for them to have missed 4.0 by this far. But I do think that what we will be getting is going to be a bit more fully featured. Still just a piece of engineering, but at least it sounds like it'll be all ships instead of just a selection. Hacking? I don't know if hacking's going to actually release with the Legionnaire. You doubt a tutorial mission is needed for engineering? I mean, they're doing tutorial missions really for everything. I think if we consider the fact that combat has tutorial missions, shooting other spaceships, I don't think it's that crazy to think that maybe engineering would too. Salvage will, cargo hauling does, mining probably will. I think it's just the way that you teach a game is you make missions that teach them the components and mechanics of the feature. They said they were setting up tutorials for hacking earlier this year. Okay. Interesting. I thought engineering would be an EPTU by now too. Holy crap, yeah. I thought it would be an EPTU by the end of first half. Or I guess I hoped. Continuing on with narrative. The team additionally crafted a new fiction piece for this month's subscriber Jump Point magazine that expands upon the current happenings in the Empire. I'm sure they're great happenings. Online technology. Let's move on there. In August, the online services team collaborated with QA to test the Stow Context API. Item imprint v1 development continued as expected. With the blueprint library development done on the service side, related API development began. Okay, well, at least they're working on the blueprint library. Online technology also started the discovery phase for the instancing feature. The team is currently working on making the inventory API only accept calls if they affect a specific inventory ID. This is being done ahead of the entity graph global database sharding. Honestly, I don't even feel like explaining most of that stuff. Instancing's pretty self-explanatory. I can't tell you what the API stuff has to do with the blueprints, but the inventory calls is probably really helpful in terms of optimization. The amount of inventory calls that get made in this game is kind of insane. Regarding the lazy inventory creation project, whatever the heck that is, the team worked on updating calls that could handle it and change the API accordingly. Essentially, the team wants inventories to be created if needed on certain calls. Yeah, more just optimization stuff in the database. As usual, the online services team worked on various bug fixes and improvements, including items for the mission system and for trace analytics. Meanwhile, Live Tools continued to enhance their internal support tool. These improvements will help our support staff monitor activity within the tool more effectively, ensuring fair play and a better experience for everyone. That's a quote from them. The team also kicked off the discovery and early design of a new entitlement service within the Hex NOC, the NOC entitlements module. This service will support item recovery workflows by tracking entitlement history, status, and source, making it easier to resolve issues quickly and accurately. Live Tools also began restructuring the error reporting system. This upgrade aims to significantly boost the speed and volume of crash processing. As part of this, they're migrating to a new framework that's more scalable and easier to maintain. Okay, finally in August, the network team progressed with bug fixing and maintenance alongside support for online services item imprinting tasks. They also focused on mapping out their path towards instancing and dynamic server meshing. That we're hearing a lot about dynamic server meshing and instancing in these monthly reports recently. They've definitely got something to say about it. They're just holding off on it. We'll hear about it at CitizenCon, no doubt. Whew, that's a lot. Online technology does a lot of like R&D kind of feeling work. Oh, speaking of which, R&D. In August, the R&D team's focus remained on analyzing performance and optimizing engine and game code. Okay, they were busy, clearly. VFX. Multiple locations, props, and gameplay elements integral to the entire Alpha 3.4.3 and 4.3.1 flow required VFX support, which resulted in incredible visuals that the community have already given great feedback on. Support was also given to the vehicle and creature teams. I'm thinking maybe we see that creature come in with 4.3.1. We will see. So that is your monthly report, sans the ship section. We're about to get to that fully. There's a lot happening. This was a great report. Don't get me, like, this was a lot of really good information across the narrative of the game, across missions, feature information, just general gameplay support. I think this was a really good time. I still would love to hear more about kind of like quality of life things being done in the feature realm. For instance, like, is anything going on in the interaction system? Or how about the idea of, I guess item recovery is working on ownership, so that's good. I really would like to hear more of the things that bother players a ton in terms of like the tech debt and just weird feature stuff. More specifics on that. Obviously, we are in a way hearing updates on that when they talk about quantum travel. That's going to fix a lot of our problems getting quantum travel fixed. But like, how about the star map? What's going on there? Is the UI team doing anything? Because they're not even showing up on here. And I'm like, UI is one of the places we really need some improvements in this game. But no, I don't think everything gets put in the monthly reports. If it did, then CitizenCon wouldn't be as exciting. Clearly, they're holding back on quite a bit of information in the name of CitizenCon, and I think in the name of just not getting ahead of themselves anymore. To be honest, this is probably good for them, the way that they are treating their communication now. But I do think there are things that we could be hearing about here that we're not. That being said, what we did hear about here is very nice. Looking at things like control surfaces, item recovery, engineering, and a lot of the mission and narrative stuff, I think, was a really exciting part of this. What's missing from the star map? Specifically for me, it's the local maps, planetary surface maps, the ability to transition from them into the further star map. I don't know how many times I've been driven crazy by trying to zoom in the perfect amount to something to get all of the POIs to show up for me, but not so much that it transitions to a completely different map. That's the kind of thing that, like, they mentioned that when they were introducing the map back in CitizenCon 2023, but they haven't talked anything about it since then, and I really, really freaking wish they would. Also, the ability for us to place our own waypoints on the map would be great. Being able to tell somebody, hey, let's all meet here, and then put a waypoint on a map and everybody quantum jumps there, that'd be awesome. Probably related to the new quantum jump system, though. Yeah, dropping a pin, saving locations, things they talked about in 2023's reveal of the map that they haven't touched on since then. Anyone working on social tools? Yeah, exactly. I think the UI team's probably working on it, but they're not talking about it. If you could save markers on the map, then exploration could absolutely be a career path in this game. How many miners in the chat would pay for quantum markers on the map that take you straight to some quantanium deposits? You know? That's all it is. That's literally all we need. Placeable markers. And when they showed us that map at CitizenCon 2023, I was like, okay, here it comes. Here we go. And we don't know anything still, almost 2 years later. You're not a miner, but if we have crafting, you'll mine the... You'll mine everything. Yeah, crafting would definitely help make mining feel more significant. Selling maps of mapped out caves, that's another good one. The FPS radar and scanning, like, can we use that to fill out maps? Can we talk about the functionality of filling out a map through scanning and radar? Just to know that it's going to be the thing, you know? You want to sell maps from unknown places? Samesies. When these things drop, they should be in a decent state. They should. Where would be the best place to be to find out more about what your org's activities are? like what we're doing throughout the week? Or what we do as an org? If you want to learn more what we're doing throughout the week, on Discord, in our Discord server, there's an events tab at the top of the actual Discord, and you'll see all of the things that we have scheduled. As far as what we do in general, I still got to get a lot of that kind of stuff written up for the website, and we are working on an app that you'll be able to access for that kind of stuff too. I have not been able to put as much time into the org and like getting all that sort of stuff figured out and published as I wanted this year. We had to put a lot more time into doing YouTube to kind of just like maintain, stay afloat. And I'm hoping as we get back more into an exciting season for Star Citizen, I can take a little bit more time to put towards the org again. You're interested in the org, you prefer the org that has scheduled events, you're an industrial player. We always have scheduled industrial events every week. But in order to see those, you do have to be part of the org. Now, you can sign up. There's nothing, like we don't, if you sign up and you decide you don't like it, we won't kill you. We won't follow you down. You don't have to submit your ID or social security number. You can just quit if you'd like. But we do have regular scheduled stuff. All right, let's move on to ships. Only mother's maiden name, yes, and your first pet. How does one find this org? ! Org on Twitch will take you there. Great people too. If you guys are looking for a cool place where like you're not required to do anything in our org. The only thing you're required to do is like not be a dick, and we don't support non-consensual PvP. So like you can be a bounty hunter, you can be a smuggler, you can go out and shoot people in contested zones, you can fight people at the Hathor locations or at Stormbreaker or at Jumptown. We just ask that you make sure that those people are interested in that gameplay, whether it's flashing a flashlight, saying something real quick in chat, double checking with them. If they don't want to be shot at, please don't shoot at them. If they're looking for combat, you're free to engage in GII. We just want to make sure that everybody understands that if they run into a GII member, this is a friendly person first. That's basically it. Besides that, you don't have to do anything. You can join our events, you can skip our events, you can join random streams, you can skip all the streams, you can just hang out in voice channels, you don't have to talk, you can mute yourself the whole time. Yeah, it's up to you. We just try to make it easy for everybody. Well, ish. Everybody ish. We are an addictive bunch of people. We're pretty cool. There's a lot of those folks in the chat right now, actually, if you have any questions. Yeah, man. Check it out. We are here on this lovely September. It's September. We are here to talk about spaceships. We just went over the entire monthly report, core gameplay, item recovery, medical changes, new missions, mission givers, dynamic server meshing, all that stuff. But now we are going to talk about the ships that were worked on in August, including the Perseus, the Kruger, the Ironclad, the Apollo, the Hammerhead, all the things, some unknowns as well. We got our handy dandy ship list as we do every month here, which is probably wildly outdated at this point. I mean, I don't even know where some of these unannounced vehicles are supposed to be. But we're going to make our way through this and determine what's being worked on and what we can expect in the next few months. First of all, let's find our new release, the Wolf. Here it is. Oh, we already marked it as released. We got excited throughout the month and did that early. So the Wolf is released. Let us look at the report and see what needs to be updated. All right, in the UK, 3 unannounced ships progressed through August. All are currently in various stages within the gray box phase. One is approaching its final review, one is receiving improvements to component accessibility, and the other recently entered following its white box gate review. Let's find this one first. A unannounced ship that last update had its white box review. Here are unannounced there as well as here. And these all were, let's see, here's white box. Kicked off and progressed through white box. Officially entered production in May. Approaching white box review after entering production in June. Entered gray box in July. Okay, not that. These other two are... These are all gray box and pre-production. So the only thing that we have that might get close to that would have been... Kicked off and progressed through white box in July. Entered production in May. So one of these three. Any of these three could be the same ship too. That's the freaking crazy annoying part. So this one was first mentioned in August, I think. Yeah, first mentioned in August, kicked off and progressed through white box in July. That could have entered gray box. I don't even know, man. I don't know. No, this one passed its freaking white box review in May. So I don't know what that would be. It's one of these two. This one officially entered production in May. So I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess it's this one. This bad boy right here. Passed its white box review. We're gonna go ahead and say passed white box review in July. And what were they saying? Recently entered gray box in August. Recently entered gray box in August. All right. We'll see what that is. You rock. You know that? Bleeding Vox, thank you. Dropping in again with the super chats. How do you like the news so far? It's good, man. News is going well. Air Dragon, you like the Discord? Thank you. It's there are a lot of channels there. Make sure to check out the channels and roles section and pick the ones that you would want. We categorized the whole Discord so that if you're into food and pets and books, you can get those channels where people are discussing that stuff. If you're into No Man's Sky or Halo or Battlefield or Elite Dangerous, you can get those channels. If you just want Star Citizen, you can do that. There's all kinds of choices in there, so customize it how you see fit, because for a lot of people it ends up being too much. You can also remove channels if you'd like. Thanks for the bits, Jay. Keeping the bit train going on Twitch. You rock. That's all your bits. Much love, dude. Vox, thank you for the super chats, my friend. Okay, these other two ships that we've got here, one is approaching its final box review from the gray box. It's approaching its final review for gray box, and the other is receiving improvements to component accessibility, so deep into gray box. So let's look at our gray box ships now. We've got an unannounced gray box here, past white box in May, with attention to a specific mechanic. We've got another gray box here. This would be our new gray box. Entered gray box in July, experience cargo mechanisms issue. So this is the one that has some kind of special cargo thing going on. Could that need components accessibility work? Who freaking knows, man? The unannounced ships are really hard to understand in these. We got a couple other gray box unknowns down here. Progressing towards full production in April, progressing towards white box review in May, went into gray box with detail on the hull in June, received additional animation work for its moving elements in July. So this one's been moving pretty well through. I think, honestly, that sounds like it could be approaching its final review. I'm going to go ahead and take a shot in the dark and say approaching final gray box review in August. Last update we will say is September 3rd. I need to remember to update these other ones too. But this is in gray box though, like... Why would it still be in white box after all this time? Yeah, I don't know about that. This one though. This was the one I updated. Last update we have on this one was in... Ooh, I haven't marked it in a while. Put that as September 3rd. Still low confidence. Hey, thank you for the super chats, Bleeding Vox. The Raylan? Interesting, interesting. That is an interesting choice. The Raylan. You rock. But this is an unannounced ship. The Raylan isn't necessarily unannounced. A good guess, though. A good guess. Let's update that. There we go. Oh, no. No, we didn't get an update on that, I don't think. Yeah. Okay. The third one, receiving improvements to component accessibility, is literally like there's nothing, dude. There's no clue as to what that could be. Progress to gray box with attention to the hull in June. Like I could just literally guess it's this. I'm just gonna throw it down here so we don't spend so much time on this. Component work in August. Potentially a complete lie. CNOU medium to large ship. It could be that. So I have that on here. The CNOU mystery ship. At some point this will be updated to probably be one of these unannounced vehicles. But that's the thing is like at this point it doesn't even matter because by the time we know one of these unannounced vehicles is one of these ships, this ship will be released. So it's hard to take like one of these unannounced vehicles is probably the Wolf. How do we determine which one it was? I don't even know. Because they didn't mention an unannounced vehicle in final art or anything like that. Anyways, continuing on from those, because unannounced vehicles are too difficult. For announced ships, the Anvil Paladin progressed into the Lot 0 stage, having had feedback from the Gray Box gate review. Yeah. So the Anvil Paladin's a pretty cool ship. It doesn't have a formal introduction via video, but the concept images of it look great. This is a gunship for 3 to 4 people. It's got a pilot, and then 3 folks on some big guns. This is the ship that replaces the Redeemer and allows the Redeemer to become something else. This is the ship that I think is going to be great for all kinds of mercenary missions if you and your friends want to go fight. That old mining claim jumper mission, ooh, this would have been perfect for it. So I look forward to seeing how they come up with content for a ship like this. But ultimately, it's looking like it's going to be a lot of fun to use in a game like this. Now, this one I originally thought might be the Invictus ship this year. They might rush it through. They did not. They took their time on it. But now it is passing the Lot 0 stage. So we can go ahead and put that up on the list. Paladin has gone from gray box to Lot 0. We have it down here as an expected QA release 2025. I could see this being either an IAE or a December release, but let's go ahead and put our name behind IAE 2025 for the Paladin. And the most recent update is that it's entered Lot 0. Entered Lot 0 in August. It's looking more and more likely that this is going to be in the game, so I'll keep the confidence at level high. We'll update the most recent update to September. And we'll see how it goes. Yeah, escort missions will be great for the Paladin. Yeah, they don't tell us when an unannounced ship becomes announced. So it's like, do I just have a list of unannounced ships on here that I don't need anymore? Where does the Redeemer fall, though? Ever since the guns and shield size change, it seems to have lost its way. I think the point of the Redeemer is that it's supposed to be somewhat of a drop ship, kind of ground support, sort of, not necessarily drop ship, but like yeah, you're gonna have to ask Paul about that. I kind of forget. Originally it was supposed to be a drop ship, and then they changed it to a gunship, and then they made the Paladin to be the actual gunship so that the Redeemer could go back to being whatever. But I'm not sure it's supposed to be a dropship now. Because it's like, it doesn't have that many seats. It has space for cargo, which the Paladin does not, so that makes it a little bit different. But I don't know. Yeah, one of these unannounced ships is probably the Wolf. Not sure how I would ever figure out which one it would be, because they all were supposedly in gray box. Definitely not this. It has cargo. This entered gray box in August, so that's crazy. Passed white box review in July. Actually, this is today's update. So it could be this. This could be the Wolf. Let's put possible Wolf here, just for future reference. And also this one. Past white box review in May with attention to a specific mechanic. The specific mechanic there could have also been the turret. So we'll put possible Wolf here too. Doesn't determine it, but it at least helps us remember this later on. Full production in April. Received additional work for its moving elements in July. Huh. Gray box in June, moving elements in July. That could also be a Wolf, to be honest. And this one, considerable attention to white box, component work in August. That's just the new today. Attention to detail on the hull in June. Attention to detail on the hull sounds like a larger ship than the Wolf, so we'll keep that one off there. The Hull B is an announced ship, so that wouldn't necessarily be in that category. Continuing on, the Kruger L-21 Wolf was released. We got this. With the team excited to see the reception to the new ship, they also continued to bug fix issues found during the release, such as the glass shader being excessively worn, alongside implementing the component bays and considering removing the fin. They didn't say that last part, but that you could consider it. It's possible. It's an option. Moving on, the Drake Ironclad and Ironclad Assault progressed towards their white box reviews, with the team finalizing the asset kit that will be used across this and other Drake ships. This is going to be good for the Kraken, which is mentioned down here, as well as other Drake ships. But honestly, guys, this is the biggest thing that you could probably get from here. It was fairly clear last month, but it is definitive at this point. The Ironclad is not coming this year. I think we already have it. Yeah, we have it for Invictus Week 2026. I am still sticking by that. I think it's still pretty much scheduled for that. Let us make sure we drop this. So let's see. Team finalizing the asset kit. Progressing towards white box review in August. There's no way these ships come out this year. I'm sorry. My condolences to anybody who was holding out hope, but it's like basically impossible at this point. I'm going to change the confidence on this though to a medium high at this point, because the schedule is lining up for Invictus. Toes. They said Drake is coming back bigger than ever next year. It's the perfect time for them to do that. Nymphadora. What a name. What a name, Steve. Thank you for the subscription. Appreciate you. Thanks for the Prime sub. Hope you're having a grand time on this stream. What if they crunch? I don't even think they could crunch and get the Ironclad out this year, because it still needs the command module to launch with, and that work isn't even going to be done as far as the schedule is concerned until December, I believe. And you know, whatever is on the schedule is not the actual final work being done there. Yeah, this goes until December. No way. Ironclad's 2026. Are they actually planning on releasing it with the command module? I think... Yeah, I think... they didn't confirm that they are, but I think that that feature becoming a thing in their workflow, in their pipeline, is a little bit too conspicuous to not be related. They said it might come out without the command module. I mean, if they said that, then I guess it's a possibility. But it seems like it's all timing for them to be able to include it. Either way, work-wise, a ship of this size with the first version of a new asset set for the company is just, it's not going to come out in the next 3 months if it's in white box right now. They stated it will come out without the command module. Well, that's gross. I will concede on the command module point, if that is up in question. As far as work-related goes, white box, it ain't gonna happen. I wish I could give some level of understanding of that. I mean, I guess I can when we get to the Perseus. Perseus is in Lot 0, and it's definitely coming out at IE, and they're about the same size. So that gives you an idea of just where a ship that's expected to come out in November might be right now. And that is basically going through its final art reviews. Continuing on though, work on the RSI Aurora and Aegis Hammerhead kicked off to bring them up to current standards, focusing first on their cockpit and dashboard views, as well as physicalizing components. I almost want to put these in here as updates. Can I do that? Why can't I drag the... Where's the freaking plus sign? Okay, I'll just copy paste. Let me put RSI Aurora here. And we'll call this a rework / gold pass. Starter ship. Dev phase. I don't even know what to call it. I mean, technically it's released. What do I even say the dev phase is? It's like in progress? We'll just add a new one for in progress here. I need a new color. I'm running out of colors, guys. Hey, it looks a little gold. That actually works. And we'll do one more here. This is for the Aegis Hammerhead. Rework. Fighter screen. Large gunship. Also in progress. Expected release, don't know. Both of them. Focusing on cockpit and dashboard views in August. And we will see where this goes. Ah, dang it. First mentioned in September. Whoa, this is 24. I keep messing with the wrong one. Both of these first mentioned in September. And last update in September. All right. So we got the Gold Pass reworks on there too. The MISC Hull B entered pre-production following the approval of its updated concept. The Hull B is an interesting one because it is small but huge. It carries like, what, 384 SCU, but it's a 1 to 2 person ship. Carries all its cargo on the outside, so it is in danger of being attacked more easily, but it's easier to offload. It can land on planets, unlike the Hull C. I believe it can land with its cargo still on the ship too, which is kind of a big deal. This is like a bigger Hull A. A little smaller than a Caterpillar, a little bigger than a Constellation Taurus. Honestly, I think this is the kind of thing that needs to have an economy working to make sense. Like, as we get into more of these nuanced cargo ships, it's like, what's the point? Right now, you're still just putting as many boxes as you can in whatever the biggest ship you have is. And we could use more nuance for stuff like this. Nice to see it, though, entering pre-production. It got approved updated concept, so we'll go ahead and add that on here. Good times. The MISC Hull B has entered the ring. This is a variant. We'll call this a new model. It's not exactly a variant. A medium cargo hauler. It's in pre-production. Expected release, I'm going to guess 2026. Summer 2026. And entered pre-production following the approval of its updated concept in August. It's an exciting ship. Not really too much to know about it. Can't wait to see how they handle the landing gear. It's gonna look so awkward if they have it with the boxes underneath still. 250 RXD is worth 9,000 USD. I'm guessing RXD is the cryptocurrency. Yeah, not RSD. Po Boy, thank you for the super chat, dude. First one on a live stream. Much love to you, dude. Thanks for the support. Yeah, the reconcept probably has it looking a little bit different to not have the spindles sticking out from the bottom when it's landed. I don't know if they have any pictures of it doing that. Just standing on stilts. Here's a picture of it when it was not landed. You can tell this is old concept art. Here's a picture of all the ships. Here's the Hull A that we know on the right. Hull B, Hull C, Hull D, Hull E. Which is just stupid. I can give you guys an idea of just how much the cargo capacities of these ships expand. I mean it. Shut up. Shut up. This is an animation I did for a ship a while ago, showing the cargo capacity of a Star Lancer, or a Hercules, not a Star Lancer. 696 SCU. Here is the Hull C. 4,608 SCU. And then I believe on here I also put the Hull E over here, which just demolishes everything at 8,192 SCU. So, like, the cargo scale gets kind of crazy with these other ships, and I think that's why there needs to be more nuance and just gameplay built into it in general. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's any pictures of it landed. It's just with the spindles out. Long legs would be funny. You're right about that. In North America, the RSI Apollo Medivac and Triage continue to prepare for release, with testing and bug fixing being the focus. Ships also supported the gameplay teams with medical gameplay adjustments. We talked about that during the core gameplay section of this. We'll update the Apollo here. Final art. We can confirm this is... I was thinking this was a Q4 release, but it is not. This is coming out this month, folks. Very high. In fact, we're going to change this from final art to release imminent. And here we're going to paste this. They are testing and bug fixing in August. Aight. Good to know on the Apollo. It's a good ship, man. People love that ship. Whole D is supposed to be 20,000. Wait, was I did I miss? Did I misstate that? Which one is this? This is the 4 spindles. Which one has 4 spindles? Oh, yeah, I was talking about the D. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I was talking about the E. So the whole E is... Did I get that wrong? 98,000 SCU. What was I calculating on mine? The C? 4,608. Yeah, that's the whole C. So which one is this? Did I just get my numbers wrong? 8,192. I think I got my numbers wrong, dude. What? How did I get that so messed up? Toes. Yeah, I don't know how I messed that up so badly. That's embarrassing. So I didn't even represent it correctly. Aye. Moving on from medical, some of the team moved on to unrelated but a related but unannounced ship. Okay, what do you even say there? Related to Apollo but unannounced. All right. And should I just... We don't know anything about it. I guess it's a new model. Don't know what it is. Probably in the concept phase. We don't even know what phase it's in. I'm just gonna say don't know. They really didn't do much here. Expected to release, don't know. Anything about this? Don't know. Just randomly started work in September. Confidence? None. Cool. Could be an Apollo with other modules. It could. It could be an exploration-focused Apollo, which would be interesting. They are doing a whole bunch of that. They're doing a whole bunch of variants to ships' designs that they've already made, that they know people love, and people love the Apollo, and an exploration-focused Apollo would be awesome. With a bigger scanner and radar, maybe a little bit more cargo space, and a couple extra beds for people. A 2 to 3 person ship focused on little expeditions would be sick from the Apollo. All right, finally, the RSI Perseus was prepared for its Lodge 0 gate review with additional lighting and detail passes being done across both the interior and exterior. And here it is. This is our first look at the interior of the Perseus. A look at the main elevator shaft. We've got 3 decks here, level 0, level 1, level 2. Can't really see what it says here. It says something deck, but I don't know what it might be. Yeah, it's just a look at the Perseus real quick. This is a ship that we've kind of known for a long time was going to be the main ship of this latter half of the year. I did a video on this a couple weeks ago if you want more information on it. But they also have a big old segment here where they just kind of talk about how it's made up. Now, were there 3 decks? There were. Here's the elevator. So this is the shaft that we're looking at. In addition, it's got 2 huge size 7, possibly size 8 guns down here, and 2 more up here, as well as a remote turret here. So you could have maybe 5 people in this ship and command quite a bit of combat authority. It's a pretty aggressive ship with a pretty low crew count. Should be interesting. We've got it on here somewhere. RSI Perseus, here we go. Patrol boat, new model, Laud 0 I had it at. It says it was, okay, so it's preparing for its Laud 0 gate review. What? I have it as past Laud 0 in July. The RSI Perseus progressed into the Laud 0 phase, so I got that wrong. It progressed into Laud 0 in July, and it entered its gate review? Prepared for Laud 0 gate review in August. So next month, this month I guess now, they will probably be focusing more on damage and stuff like that. Expected release is still November 2025. I should put this column over here. Makes more sense. And we'll keep it at Laud 0 for now, because it hasn't necessarily passed its gate review. Isn't that the same thing being said? Yeah, I got it wrong in July. In July, it said it entered its Laud 0 phase. I accidentally said it passed its Laud 0 phase. Are PDCs listed? I don't think they said PDCs are coming with this ship. So yeah, it'll be relatively risky compared to Torps. You don't want to hear anything about exploration in this game until they actually give us some idea about it. They've given us tons of idea about it, people just don't want to accept it. I've done a ton of coverage on what they've said very explicitly is exploration gameplay in this game. And people just don't want to hear that that's exploration. But I will say again, exploration gameplay is finding valuable resources for other people who want to use them. It's pretty straightforward. The Drake Kraken's pre-production phase continued too. There's a one little final update there. We can add that in here. Spacecraft carrier pre-production. We'll just say pre-production continued through August. Man, I cannot type today. Yay! Last update in September. Expected release Q4 2026 is still what we have there. Who knows if that'll be it. You wouldn't be surprised if it had PDCs. Leaks have shown PDCs. Okay, we shall see. You just need a beacon and you'll be an explorer. I think that's what a lot of people are waiting for. But that's about it for the ship updates. I didn't have a lot of pictures for you guys this time. Really just wanted to give you the actual updates and what's going on. But all these videos are available to you if you want to get more cool, interesting shots of what the actual ships we're talking about are. This is a Perseus here. Almost all of the ships we've talked about have examples, like videos that you can look up and find from CIG that talks about them at least a little bit. Here's the one for the Ironclad. They don't have one for the Kraken. I think the Kraken was introduced during like a IAE video or something, so you can't really search for it. Plenty of pictures though to see. Toes. Either way, that's your ship update for August. Everything that's currently going on, everything that's currently being worked on and is ongoing. Let's look at how many we got updates on. 1, 2. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the Wolf. $13. So can we say 13 ships in development? It's probably give or take 1 or 2, but at least we know of 13 ships currently in development, and this is all the updates you can get on them right now. I'll see you again in October for another. Finding resources is prospecting, not exploration, but that is CIG for you. Then what's exploration? That actually kind of blows my mind. Like, isn't that just semantics at that point? What is exploration if finding resources is prospecting? What about finding derelict spaceships? What is that called? Like, if you wanted to say find a derelict spaceship because they have valuable components, they are a rare ship or something, is that exploration? Oh, this is a private sheet I have here. Exploration is finding places, not things. Don't there need to be things in the places? Ask Marco Polo. Is Marco Polo the only explorer to ever exist? What's with the gatekeeping on exploration? According to Marco Polo, what is exploration? He called himself an explorer. He made detailed observations, vivid descriptions of Asian wealth, technology, and cultural sophistication. So, like, if you fly to Pyro, that's exploration? Is the idea basically that exploration doesn't exist if it's been discovered already? Is that the idea? In which case, yeah, there's not going to be exploration in this game. If discovering derelicts and resources and places for bases and stuff isn't exploration, then I don't think there will be exploration in the game. Maybe jump points, maybe the temporary jump points they talked about, but I don't think that's even going to be like a big part of what they're calling exploration. You could always go back to their guild page too, and just look at like what they put under the exploration section here. Explorer, scanning area, location mapping, deploy items, scan objects, find and collect. Honestly, in this case, yeah, I think a lot of people should probably just go play Elite Dangerous. Discovery is key. Right, but if you're prospecting, you're still discovering things. You're still finding derelict ships, you're finding resource allocation, you're finding places where bases can be. I can go find the picture of the cutter. Like, they depict ships finding derelicts out here, right? And then they depict other salvagers going to pick them up. What would this action be called? When people go exploring Europe on their first trip, they are exploring, or they're prospecting. You think there will be exploration in the game? You have a suspicion on top of getting the systems they've announced at launch. They're going to develop a system that is undiscovered that we need to find the jump hole to, and there will be some sort of gold rush to claim land and explore. But that's finite. That's basically saying if they want to have exploration gameplay, they have to make something every time. Devs has said there are many things the games haven't found in the vein of Benny Henge. That's fair. I think they are looking for the kind of exploration where they can have the thrill of being the first ever to find a place. Yeah, but people aren't satisfied with being the first to find a place. Like, let's say there's a big mountain on Pyro and you're the first person to find it. Would people be actually excited about that? You get a big achievement. It pops up on the screen. It says, "You're an explorer. You found this mountain first. Nobody's ever been here." Is that kind of what people are looking for? Like in No Man's Sky? Having generated caves and random dead ships to salvage and mine would make sense. It's what they keep showing us. CIG will have made that place. How will they have been the first person to find it? Well, first player to find it. But that's the thing. If they did stuff that was based on people being the first to find it, then it would just lose its interest really quickly. I think what they need to do is make sure they have a system that can keep spawning new things that you will be the first to find. Maybe it's not a planet or like a alien grotto or something, but finding a gigantic deposit of Quantanium is exploration, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. That's I'm going off of what I believe exploration is based on what I've seen, just like everyone else is. And I mean, they're all opinions at this point. I just think that the simple act of scanning something and saving its location is in the vein of exploration. Exploration is the action of traveling in or through an unfamiliar area in order to learn about it. That's what Oxford tells us. You don't see why it's so controversial to expect what they've repeatedly told us they were doing, because people really want it to be something different. They didn't have the definition of exploration when we backed for exploration ships back 10 years ago. They kind of did a, oh, I can't even find that page anymore, huh? I think they removed this page. Let me see. Star Citizen careers and roles. I don't think... Design guide? I don't think it exists anymore. Toes. I think, yeah, this is it. So this is here is a little roll chart that they made for ships way back in the day. This is a different game, so like I wouldn't go off of this in terms of what to expect, but here they say exploration ships consist of pathfinders, expedition ships, and touring ships. So they put the literal idea of just flying somebody around a pretty place as part of exploration, which, you know, may disappoint people. Here they said, for those ships that go on short and long journeys to distant locations, be it for solo, group, or commercial discovery, there is a ship to suit all explorers' tastes, equipped for a variety of mission types and often with extra transport options, including the larger ships. Doesn't say much about the actual act of exploration other than going to distant locations. There you go. Distant locations is all you need. Exploration is finding something you personally haven't found yourself. Even though so many people have been everywhere on the planet, you're still exploring things about the world around you. See, that's, I think, the best way to look at it. It's not about being the first person to ever find something. It's being the first person to find something that you know of. Then again, definitions change. Surprised there isn't transport. I think touring kind of falls under transport. I guess no, they put transport, passenger transport here. I think of touring as like people paying to get driven on journeys to places and stuff. Hope there will be room for traveling far from space stations or big organizations and the like, doing more of a survival thing with your spaceship. Yeah, that would be cool. Touring is not touring, not exploration, it's tourism. Never got a grip on the meaning of words. What the heck? The wiki is light on documentation. To be frank, you're much better reading off and watching what CIGF said directly. The problem is, the page that this is based on is from a page that CIG no longer supports. Like, they've basically removed... They removed the page that pulls this information. Here they say, what do the other roles in exploration mean? They say expedition ships are for multi-crew ships in the exploration category that are able to support extended explorations with much larger supplies and often vehicles. They don't even say what explorations are. Luxury exploration ships cover both of the aforementioned roles, but naturally do them in a much more luxurious manner. God, the f***ing ambiguity of that. On paper, without visuals, if you compare a... Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. You rock. You know that? Sorry, had to take a call real quick. Yeah, exploration, look, we all have different definitions of what exploration is. Obviously, this doesn't really help even to look at it, but from everything that I've seen from these pages where the heck was it? The pages that are here that kind of show us what the explorer role is supposed to do, from scanning areas to location mapping, deploying items, scan objects, find and collect, that kind of stuff. They've mentioned exploration in other videos too. Generally, when they mention that stuff, they're talking about finding derelict outposts, finding abandoned space stations, finding spaceships that have crashed, locating those locations, tagging what's valuable, and turning that into other people. I don't know what other people want, besides it sounds like them making like undiscovered planets and stuff. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think it's mainly going to be stuff that has value in this game, because that's the easiest way to make a game mechanic that factors into the rest of the game, is like make people depend on it. Ultimately, I think it's still viable to talk about it, because like, while the idea of what exploration is fully isn't what you want, a lot of people will be doing exploration when it comes to the locations and stuff we already have in game. Finding quantanium deposits, finding derelict Idrises that have loot on board, all that kind of stuff is really just, that's like what a lot of people do have mind for exploration. So I think it's reasonable to talk about it now. You want to know more about the scanners and stuff? I think that depends on quantum boosting. Folks, though, Bleeding Vox, thank you for that last super chat, man. Appreciate you. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things up. This today was supposed to be an extra shorter stream, but I went on for 3.5 hours. I got video work to do. I'm trying to get out a couple more videos before we head out of town next week, so I am going to pass y'all back on over to another Star Citizen streamer so you can talk some more, relive all the conversations we had today. tell them that the game is entirely changing. Everything about the game is changing. We just discovered it all. It's Jover. Cubant! Cubant, rocking on the Toes Gang. Actually brought Twitch onto the Toes Gang board right before leaving. My dude came in clutch. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the support. I hope you had a wonderful day. Everybody, if you just got a sub from Cubant, say thank you. Say what's up. He helps a lot here in keeping the stream going and supporting the channel. Thank you for joining me on this special Thursday, everybody. I hope you had a good time. I'm going to send you all over to anybody that anybody who is in here. Yeah, putting in a whole bunch of like anomalies, derelict locations and stuff inside of nebulas and things. I think that would be really interesting. I still think that would get the juices flowing for people. Oh my god, I lifted abs yesterday and sneezing is a bad idea. I'm gonna send you all over to my man Loken. You guys have a good time over there. Annoy him about just all the things, anything that you can think of to annoy him. War Queen! What? Blowing the top off for the last part of the freaking stream. Thank you so much. That's awesome. You're the homie. Thank you for the support. I don't know why the alerts didn't go off. Rude alerts. You rock. You know that? Much love. Thanks for gifting out those memberships to the folks. Hope you guys enjoy the exclusive videos you got access to and maybe even the live podcast this week. Coming tomorrow. Thank you everybody for being here today. Hope you had a good stream. You're all good people. You do good things. You say good stuff. If I called you the absolute worst things in the world today, I didn't mean it. Okay? Just dealing with some things like waiting for Star Citizen. You know how it is. Thank you all for being here. Keep an eye out for any other videos coming out that will cover things in more detail. Eat something you love today. Cook something you love. Do something you love. Go give somebody a hug. Go somewhere. Treat yourselves well. You're good people. You deserve good things. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, tomorrow is the streamathon, folks. So like, get your snacks and get ready to come out for 15 hours straight, depending on if chat, you know, supports us that long, of just like Star Citizen, No Man's Sky, chatting, and good times. I'll see you all then. Have a lovely day.